podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, August 6th, 2022. This is episode 1915. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Melissa. Make sure your customer contact data is up to date. Try Melissa's API in the developer portal. It's easy to log on, sign up, and start playing in the API sandbox 24/7. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. Why, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all the technology surrounding us that is changing the world we live in, work in, play in, worship in, and all the other things we do in it. That's what this show's all about. Wow. 88. Wow, that's a lot, Leo. Yes, it is. That's why I'm sad that Micah Sargent's not here today. Micah's taking another day off. That's okay. We'll get him back. I promise. I like having the youths here to help me. 8888 Ask Leo. Just me today. 888-827-5536. To reassure you, I have been doing this for almost 20 years. Well, actually, more like since 1992. So what is that? 30 years. But, so I have some knowledge in this old skull of mine. Website, techguylabs.com. When I spit some knowledge, we'll put it there so you don't have to remember it and write it down. You can just go to the website. It's wide open, free, no sign up, techguylabs.com. There'll be links there. There'll be audio and video from the show. There'll be a transcript, everything you need. Amazon. Wow, Amazon. They have been on a buying spree lately, right? It was just a couple of weeks ago that we announced that they had, or were going to try to buy, because, you know, these things have to be approved, a medical primary care chain called One Medical, $3.49 billion in cash. Nice to have a little pocket spending money, right? There's a $3.49 billion in cash. We're going to keep the extra $100 million. I think they should have just rounded it up, but you know. Now, what do they get with One Medical? Well, for some reason they're in the doctor business. Oh, but why do you think Amazon wants One Medical? Well, because they also want to be in the health data business, right? Suddenly, all that health data that One Medical has for all its patients, now Amazon owns it. In fact, if you look at some of their other acquisitions in terms of data, see, I think people sometimes think Amazon is a storefront, a merchant. We sell stuff. Amazon would like you to think that. We sell books. We sell toys. We sell shoes. We sell clothing. Yeah. But what's their real business? Really? What's their real business? Well, you could say it's an ad business, and it's been a very successful ad business because along with all that selling, they also tell you, hey, here's something cool you should buy, right? And they get paid for that. So that's a very lucrative ad business. But and then some people say, well, what really Amazon's goal is, and Jeff Bezos, when he founded it, smart man, had this in the back of his mind. I think he might have even said this, is to take a small percentage, a tiny little fraction of every transaction ever. Almost like a credit card company. And if you think about it, only half of what Amazon sells on its website, Amazon.com, is actually sold by Amazon. Half of it is other companies, third-party sellers. Half of it. So really, Amazon's just there as a middleman. They're taking a little bit of every transaction. It doesn't have to be a lot, a penny or two here or there, and it starts to add up. So I thought, I'm very sophisticated. I think of Amazon as, that middleman taking it. But you know what? The most sophisticated point of view is Amazon is all about data. And if you start to look at Amazon's business, our business is knowing everything there's to know about you. Then, but you don't make money just having that data. Then you can monetize. You can make money on that data in a variety of ways. Advertising, yes. Knowing what to sell you, what to pitch you, and when to pitch you. Maybe even selling that data to other third parties. That's the one I think a lot of people get funny about. Like, Facebook knows everything there is to know about you. If they were to sell that, though, to other people, that's kind of not good. You kind of know you're telling Facebook, you know, who grandma is. That's part of the deal. But you don't want them to then tell, you know, Procter & Gamble who grandma is, right? That's more problematic. In fact, Facebook does sell advertising kind of like, well, here's who's pregnant or about to be. Like they will sell that to Pampers. Here, and they know, you know, sometimes they know people are pregnant before their family does, based on shopping habits, search habits, things like that. So data is very valuable. So Amazon, they bought the medical company, One Medical. If you look back, really, I mean, they also created Amazon's voice assistant, Echoes, to have a microphone everywhere. Oh, wait a minute. Some Echoes have cameras. Now they have a camera and the microphone everywhere in your house. Now, this is going to start to get conspiracy theory-like, so let's take this with a grain of salt. But if you were an evil genius and you want to know everything there is to know about your, you know, the people who do business with you, that would be a good way to put a microphone and camera everywhere. They also bought a Wi-Fi router maker, company I like a lot, called Eero. Now, wow, Eero knows a lot about everything, right? All your data goes through Eero's servers. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. Yeah. Eero says that's so we can fine-tune the Wi-Fi. Most Wi-Fi routers don't send data back to the company. Eero does. It's a mesh router. That's what it does. They bought Ring. What does Ring do? Oh, they put cameras on your doorbell and then in your house and then outdoors. So let's see, Ring, Eero, Amazon Echo, One Medical. Maybe we're starting to see a pattern here of companies that collect data. They just announced, this is where this all leads, that they're going to buy iRobot. Yes, iRobot. iRobot makes the vacuum cleaners, those Roomba vacuum cleaners. Bzz, bzz, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with the Roomba. We do not have Roombas in the house anymore. I'll tell you that story another time. But so what? $1.7 billion. Is it because the vacuum business is such a great business? No, not really. But what does Roomba do? Oh, now here we go. Big-time conspiracy theory. What does Roomba do in order to vacuum your house? How does it do that? It makes a map. A map, in fact, people got a little upset when they found this out a few years ago. It maps everything in your house, furniture, kitchen counters, cabinets. Why? It needs to, right? Dog bowls, because it needs to know where to go. And interestingly, and this is where Roomba got in a little trouble a few years ago, they send that map back to the home office. Why do they need to do that? Just the robot needs to know where the dog bowl is, not the home office. Well, they do. In fact, back in 2017, the CEO of iRobot said, you know, someday we think this valuable mapping data, we could sell this to tech companies developing smart home devices and AI assistants. Well, here's the good news. You don't have to sell it anymore. Those companies, that company owns you, or will soon. Now, remember, all of these acquisitions have to be approved. And of course, you could just say, well, Amazon's just building business. These are all things they can make money on, and they will. They will. But it's very interesting. You know, Amazon has a technology, maybe you've heard of this, called Sidewalk. When you have an Amazon Echo, or Ring doorbell, many Amazon devices, unless you turn this off explicitly, and I bet you don't even know it's there. You have to look through the settings to find it. Amazon will create a little network, just a little network. You don't even use it or know about it. Little network. You could actually go. Amazon's not hiding this. You can go read about Amazon Sidewalk. Just Google it. Benefits of Amazon Sidewalk. Amazon Sidewalk creates a low-bandwidth network with the help of Sidewalk bridge devices, including select Echo and Ring devices. These bridge devices share a small portion of your internet bandwidth, which is pooled together to provide these services to you and your neighbors. And when more neighbors participate, the network becomes even stronger. Why would you want this? Well, what if your dog has a little sidewalk device on its collar, or your keys have a little dongle on your keys? As you walk around everywhere you go, you're being mapped by Amazon's sidewalk. You lose your keys. They know where your keys are. By the way, they also know where your dog is, you are, and everything else, your car, everything. So what is Amazon's business? Well, you could say with all of these, well, there's a business, they're going to make money selling little dongles for your keychain, right? That's a good business. Yeah, or maybe Amazon wants to know everything about who you are, where you are, what's in your house, what clothes you wear. Yeah, they sold a camera. They stopped selling it. I bought it. I was silly. That you're supposed to every day take a picture of what you're wearing. And then it will tell, then the benefit to you is they say, well, that's a bad combination. Oh, no, those pants are terrible. Like your wife would. No, honey, you can't go out of the house like that. Your husband might say, honey, no. Your kids might say, Dad, what are you wearing? But now you don't have to have kids or a wife or a husband. You just have Amazon. Will tell you. What do they get from that? They know exactly what you wear. Look, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I just think it's good for us to understand a little bit about what this might mean and why Amazon will spend $1.7 billion for a company that makes robotic vacuums. 8888, I'm just saying. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. I know, I stopped wearing yoga pants because of Amazon. It's a bad look. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, your call's next. There she goes. Is there a phone in there somewhere?
There she goes again.
Nope, no phone.
I'm just going.
It's just now we're reduced. We've run out of phone songs. We're reduced to she. We can only play songs about she. Kim Schaffer, phone angel, answers the calls, puts you on the air, prepares you for your national radio show appearance. Hello, Kim.
Hello. Are you still trying to get used to that?
Yeah, I have to look over my left shoulder now. It's good. It's good. You should.
I'm in the room with you now.
Yeah. Kim is in, because if you think about it, she's answering the phone the whole time, right? She's making noise. So she has to be in a soundproof booth, which is actually the big studio across the hall.
John has to listen to me the whole time.
It ain't exactly a booth. It's bigger than my studio. But it means we cannot communicate unless we do so using the modern miracle.
Sometimes I flail, though.
Telephonics.
I'm trying to get your attention.
You've never been in here, have you? Have you ever been in this room?
Yes.
Oh.
You've been in there since 2016. I've been in there.
I'll never forget, I think I told you this. I was at a radio station, won't say the name, and where Michael Savage does his show.
Oh, yeah.
An engineer, there's a big sign on the door that says, under no circumstances should anybody enter this studio. The engineer says, oh, ignore that. Come on in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, but, a friend of both of ours, the program director, used to have to go in and remove banana peels from his studio Lord. Every day because he would complain about that.
Well, no banana peels. Who should I start the show with?
Let's go to David in Sandpoint,
Have you been
Idaho?
Coming in here and removing banana peels from my studio?
I don't know. Are you eating bananas in there?
Actually, I do. Yes. Thank you, Kim. Hello, David from Idaho, Sandpoint. Welcome.
Hi.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yes.
A couple of weeks ago, you had the guy that puts on a trench coat and goes into the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were talking to him about, you mentioned something about the GoPros, and you were a little bit concerned about them having problems with them in the water.
Yeah.
So I do underwater photography of trout spawning, big trout.
Oh, that's cool. Trout spawning. Wow.
And I have a 7, 8, 9, 10, and GoPro Max, and I have hundreds of hours underwater and never had any problems with the water.
So in the early days of GoPros, in the early ones, you had to get an enclosure. You remember this, of course, a GoPro enclosure. But the modern ones, starting with what, 7, you said, are waterproof?
Yeah. I think the black ones.
Yeah.
But the problem with the enclosures, I tried those, but they can get fogged up, too.
Yeah, I don't like the enclosures. So I think that was a great move. So now the other issue for him, by the way, I'm showing some video now. If you haven't seen him, he's on YouTube. He's an older guy who's kind of made fame for himself on YouTube by throwing himself into the ocean wearing, like, clothing, like a big old black trench coat. And he called, he said, well, I want a better video. And so he's using the GoPro now. But the issue also is sound. How does the sound? Now, you don't care about with the spawning. You probably don't. You're not capturing sound.
Yeah, the sound's kind of weird. And lots of times I'll slow it down, and then the sound is really weird. So that's one of the things I want to do. I want to, next winter when I have time. In the summer, I don't have time because I'm out there in the woods. This is my hobby.
What a great hobby.
Retirement hobby, like he has a retirement hobby. This is my retirement hobby.
I love that. How did you come to trout spawning? What was it about trout that caught your attention? Did you fish for trout in the past?
I fished for trout forever.
Okay. So you were used to going out to those rivers and kind of hanging out?
Yeah, I fly fish and stuff.
Yeah.
And I get pictures of them spawning. And they're kind of cool. The bull trout, I don't know if you know what bull trout are.
No, what's a bull trout?
They're an endangered species.
Oh, okay.
Up here. And the male bull trout, they love to fight.
Oh.
I mean, you get these 20-pound fish fighting over a female.
Oh, boy. I bet that's cool. Cool. Where can we see? Do you put it on YouTube? Where can we see this?
Well, I made a channel, but I haven't put anything on yet.
Please do.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Sure, David.
Is YouTube the best place to
Yes. So YouTube's kind of a little modern miracle that we take for granted. Before YouTube came along, if you wanted to share your trout spawning videos, you'd have to have a website, you'd upload it. And then your web host would give you some bandwidth for free, but mostly you'd end up paying a lot of money because everybody who views that videos downloading it from your site, and that costs you money. Then along comes YouTube around 2004, maybe a little later, and they say, oh yeah, just put it here, we'll pay for the bandwidth. The funny thing is, the founders of YouTube knew that financially this was never going to work. In fact, I remember interviewing them in the early days, and I said, first of all, you're getting sued like crazy. I talked to, I think it was Chad Hurley, Stephen Chen and Chad Hurley founded it. I said, you're getting sued like crazy. NBC hated it because people were putting up Saturday Night Live things. They're going to try to put you out of business. And then there's this issue of you're providing bandwidth when a video gets big. This could cost a lot of money. He said, yeah. About a month later, Google bought it. Google can afford it. They have more than 2.5 billion monthly visitors. They watch 1 billion hours of video a day. You don't want to pay for that. What if trout spawning becomes the next, big thing? So YouTube's a great start. I would look at TikTok and Instagram, too. Do all three. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And it's free. That's the beauty of it. So you've done the hard part, which is make the video, right? You're shooting it and editing it.
Yeah, I need to figure out what to do for sound, because if you put it on there, you want some kind of sound. Yeah,
maybe. That's an. So with TikTok, first of all, TikTok, you can get very popular if people are fascinated by what you do very quickly, more so than YouTube. And I know this because my son, who does cooking on TikTok, has more than 2 million subscribers to his channel. It just took off. He's huge. And as a result, he can make money doing a lot of other things. So TikTok has some real opportunities. And here's the beauty part of TikTok. They license music. So they will let you put any kind of music you want. And they've licensed almost everything.
What about just sounds?
You could get sounds. You could put sounds.
Of the babbling brook or something.
Yeah, if you record those yourself separately, sure. And on YouTube, that's what you're going to want to do, because you can't put music on YouTube. You can do it on TikTok, but not YouTube. Instagram, it'll be interesting to see. They're trying to compete with TikTok. I suspect they'll do the same licensing.
Well, actually, I was looking at it. YouTube does have their selection of music.
Yeah. So they have a more limited. Yeah. The only reason I say music is I would mix it up. Maybe have music and bubbling brook. I mean, you want to make it appealing. And sound, people sometimes forget with video. Sound's really important. You've tried it without any sound, and it's kind of not as good, is it?
So you can have those like at the same time.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, just put them on 2 different tracks.
Yeah. This is something great to play with. The thing that's cool about TikTok is you can you get immediate feedback, right? So if you know in the comments and the follows and the views, if what you did worked, you know if it didn't work. And that's been, for my son, a huge benefit because he'll try different recipes. And it turns out people really like the sloppy sandwiches. So he does a lot of those. It's really valuable to get that feedback loop. You get some of that with YouTube, but I think TikTok is more immediate. But the point is you don't have to limit yourself to one. Do TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Why not?
Yeah, but it'll probably be, can I call you back when I get it?
Yeah, and then we'll give you a plug. Yeah. Get right now, get an account on TikTok, spawning trout man. Or something, like that.
It's not just spawning, it's jumping too, because they have to jump.
Oh, it's so cool. I know.
To their spots.
Yeah.
I just got some a couple months ago where I have a 15-foot pole I stick down in the water, and so I'm following this fish that's jumping.
Oh, that's
neat. And so when it jumps, I take the camera up above the water. You get the picture of it up above the water, and then when it goes back down, I get the picture of him coming back down.
Isn't that cool? So you're doing the hard work. You're doing the hard work. You're getting the video, and you're doing the editing. Now I think put it on as many places as you can. Right? Get everybody to know about it. That's the key.
Yeah, I mean you get 2 hours of filming, and you got 5 minutes of good shots.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot of work. But it's worth it, right?
It's a lot of work.
It's worth it.
Oh, yeah. It's just fun. It's a hobby.
I love it. Just like Trench Coat Ocean Guy. You can you can absolutely, you could be spawning Trout Man. Hey, I got to run, but it's a pleasure talking to you. Please call back, David, and tell us about it.
Yeah, when I get it up and going.
Yeah, we'll give you a big plug.
But I don't have time now.
I'll tell you who's got good support. I'll tell you who cares about you and your business. Melissa. Melissa's actually a great company for any company to use so that you don't get in that situation where you're losing customers. You can't figure out what their email address is or their mailing address. Melissa is the data quality experts. Poor data quality costs organizations on average $15 million a year. And this is the bad news. Bad data gets worse every year, right? It slowly erodes away. The longer poor quality data stays in your system, the more losses you could accumulate. To be successful in business, your customer information has to be accurate, and Melissa is the company that helps you keep the global data quality and address management and keep on top of it. And by the way, just as we were talking about this, customer service is a big part of accurate data. If a customer calls, they're frustrated, and you don't have the right email address, you don't have the right phone number, the right mailing address, that customer is going to get even more angry. You're not solving their problem. You're showing them you don't know what you're doing. Melissa's Identity Solutions can fix that problem. They have real-time identity verification, including identity, ID, document verification, age authentication, global watch list screening, so you also can answer some of your compliance needs this way. If you have to do AML or KYC compliance, you can establish customer identity using Melissa, yes. You can easily tailor it to your specific sign-up process, to your risk management requirements, so you have fast onboarding or e-commerce checkout and still protect your organization against fraud. Melissa has an API, so you can actually build it into your shopping software or your customer service software. With Melissa, you reduce risk, you ensure compliance, and you keep customers happy. Don't you want all three? Protect your data from decay. They've got 2.1 billion clean, validated records. You can ensure compliance in areas of anti-money laundering, politically exposed persons, the Bank Secrecy Act. You can score and target customers with detailed demographic and firmographic data appends. You can complete customer records by adding missing items like names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses. In fact, they've got a database of email addresses that can help you remove 95% of bad email addresses from your database. Like, nope, that's not it, that's not it, that's not it. That's amazing. And your data is super safe with Melissa. This is really important, because you're trusting them, right, with your data. They undergo regular audits from independent third parties to make sure that your data is secure, that they're SOC 2 compliant, they're HIPAA compliant, they're GDPR compliant, so you can use them with confidence. And their global address verification service provides verification for 240 plus countries and territories. They can even do it in real time at the point of entry. Melissa's data matching eliminates duplicates, eliminates clutter. That's nice too. So your database doesn't have extra copies of the same thing, which can save you postage, save you mailing costs, save you embarrassment. I used to get 4 catalogs from a company. I didn't even really want 1, but 4, that's way over the top. So you can do batch address cleaning, process an entire list all at once for accuracy and completeness. You can do identity verification, geocoding enrichment. You can convert addresses into latitude and longitude coordinates. Email verification. You remove up to 95% of bad email addresses from your database. They've got an app, by the way, on iOS and Android called Lookups. You'll love this. You can enter in some data, get it verified, cleaned up. Onesie-twosie if you want. It's great for everybody. Flexible deployment options mean you can do it on-prem. Depends on your preference, your business size, your budget. You can do it as a web service. They have a secure FTP process, SaaS, even an API. Make sure your customer data is up to date. Melissa's APIs are available right now in the developer portal, so you can log on, sign up, and start playing in the sandbox 24/7. And in fact, to get you started, 1,000 records cleaned free. Go to melissa.com/twit. MELISSA, melissa.com/twit. Thank you, Melissa, for the job you do and for supporting us at TWiT and on the podcast. In fact, you support us, listeners and viewers, by going to that address so they know you saw it here. melissa.com/twit. Now back to the show, which is already in progress. I'll tell you what's hip. This cat right here, man. This guy is the hippest of the hipsters. He is Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek. He is. You can see his Home Theater Geek podcast at youtube.com/AVS Forum. And, of course, he joins us every week to talk about giant TVs, surround sound.
TVs, that's right.
I replaced the Vizio M sub, soundbar and sub and surrounds with just a simple ELAC 2-speaker setup. Got myself a little inexpensive audio engine sub.
That probably sounds great.
Sounds great. It's a good mix. But when I set it up for my wife, I forgot to tell the AV amp there's no center channel.
Oh,
so this morning, 7:30, she sends me a video. It's great. She didn't want to wake me up. She said, for some reason, I can hear the music, but I can't hear the people. What's going on? Of course, I immediately recognized I had set it up wrong.
Yep. You tell the receiver, no center channel.
No center channel. You can do that manually, or I ended up just getting the Odyssey mic, plugging it in, and letting it do all of its Odyssey configuration. And that worked out very well. Yeah. Sounds good. You don't have a center channel now, but I guess you don't always have what's called.
No, you don't. You have what's called a phantom center.
Yeah. It simulates it. Yes.
If something appears in the middle, then it's going to be the same level in both the left and right speakers, and it's going to appear to your ears like it's in the center.
Yeah, works pretty well. I'm happy. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass along that little...
I'm so glad you solved that problem, and it's unfortunate that the M series Vizio soundbar that you got
wasn't great. It
wasn't great.
Yeah, and you know what? I should know better. You aren't going to get a soundbar, surrounds, and a sub for $300, and it's going to sound beautiful.
I'm afraid
I spent
so.
twice that, and now it does sound good. And she listens to. It's in the gym, so she listens to music a lot, and so I want it to sound good for the music.
Even better, more important than to have like a stereo pair of speakers and a little sub.
Yeah. And I already put an AV receiver in there, so it wasn't so hard.
There you go.
Plus, it's a lot less complicated routing. We get calls all the time. People say, "No, wait a minute. I have the ARC HDMI going into the sub to the sound bar, but then the sound bar goes back into the TV." It's so complicated. In fact, from our last week's caller, where we said you very cleverly said reset the TV and then change the settings, I said, I know what I need to do, and I reset everything. And then went through the settings, and that's always the best way to do it.
Yep.
Start from scratch. Anyway, what do you want to talk about today? It's your turn.
Today I want to talk about the Value Electronics TV Shootout.
Yes.
19th annual Value Electronics TV Shootout, which happened last weekend. And it was great because there were, as you know, this is a thing put on by Value Electronics, a retailer in Scarsdale, New York, I believe. And they set up all the best TVs in a row, and they feed them all the same content. They calibrate them all very carefully, so they're really being their best. They're showing what they can do. And they feed them all the same material. They even have a broadcast monitor there at the same time for reference. This is what the broadcast content creators see when they create their content. So let's see how these TVs compare to that. And so this year they had 5, and they even, since last year, they now do a 4K shootout and an 8K shootout. And so this year they had 5 TVs in the 4K shootout, including the 2 quantum dot OLEDs, QD OLEDs, that have just come out. This is the first new TV technology in a very long time.
This is something we've wanted for a while, is to compare OLEDs, which we both agree are the best quality picture, with these new quantum dot QLEDs.
Quantum dot OLEDs, yeah.
QD
OLED is what
so it's still an OLED screen, but it's using a new technology for
the color,
pixel,
basically.
For the color.
Instead of a color filter, you have a blue OLED material in the backlight that shines into these quantum dots, and the quantum dots convert that blue light into red or green.
So I'm very curious to see if this is an improvement. You said it was going to be. In fact, I remember before CES, you said, I can't tell you, but there's going to be something at CES. It's going to be transformative.
Yep.
Now, we should say also, this is fairly subjective. Also, first of all, in choosing which TVs to look at, and then you have experts eyeballing it. But, I mean,
that's right.
How else are you going to do it?
We have serious experts. I mean, we're talking Phil Holland, who's a director cinematographer. We have David Medina, who's the manager of production technology operations at Warner Brothers Discovery.
Wow.
I mean, these are serious people. And an executive from Criterion, and we have calibrators like David McKenzie, Jason Dustle. And so they calibrate all these TVs, they put them in a dark environment, and then they invite all these judges in, and they give them a scorecard with various criteria. And they're going to evaluate black level and shadow detail and color accuracy and motion detail, that sort of thing. And they look at them with lights on, they look at them with lights off, and they look at them with HDR, high dynamic range content.
And as we mentioned last week, they also compare it to a very expensive studio reference monitor.
Correct.
So they know what it's supposed to look like.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so they had the Samsung QD OLED, they had the Sony QD OLED, they had the LG regular OLED, and a couple of mini LED LCDs, one from Sony and one from Samsung. Now, which do you suppose won the 4K shootout?
Well, I'm very curious. Did the QOLEDs win?
It did. The Sony QLED, in fact, beat everybody else out.
Including the other QOLEDs.
Correct. Correct. Now, the Sony, the retail price for the Sony is $1,000 more than the Samsung.
And so that's the question. Is it $1,000 better? And these guys may say, oh, yeah, this is better, but a little bit better, you may not care, right? For $1,000.
Well, you might not, but I'll tell you this: Jason, I talked to him after the thing, and he said usually looking at a broadcast monitor and one of these TVs, I can see the difference in like a few seconds.
Yeah.
He said it took me 5 minutes to detect any difference between the broadcast monitor and the Sony QLED.
It's very, very, very close to perfect, in other words.
Very close to exact. Oh, man, I want one bad.
Wow. Now, Samsung doesn't offer Dolby Vision, right? They have their...
Correct.
That's problematic, isn't it?
I think it's problematic. That's one reason I would spend the extra $1,000. In fact, I'm going to. I'm going to buy one of these Sonys. Because we have a new, we just got a new house.
Yeah, this is the time.
And I'm going to outfit a new viewing area. And I've had a Sony OLED for a long time. I had the first generation.
Now, don't be fooled. This is not QLED.
No,
this is QD OLED. QLED is an LCD technology, and that's not what you want. You want
That's not what this is.
Let's say it again. QD OLED. Oh boy, is this
correct?
All right.
It's the Sony A95K is the model number, and we're looking at 65 inchers on all of them.
$4,000 for the 65 incher.
Yep.
55 incher is only that's $1,000 less, 3,000. So maybe you don't. Well, but you want a big.
If you want to get a 55, I'm going to get the 65.
Yeah.
Now, the Samsung S95B QD OLED is the other one.
Yes.
And that measured that scored very well.
But no Dolby Vision, which is
no Dolby Vision.
Technology you probably want.
I definitely do.
There is other HDR. They do HDR10, right? Or HDR.
They do HDR10, and Samsung does HDR10 Plus, which is closer to Dolby Vision. But Dolby Vision is much more ubiquitous.
You want all three, was what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Sony does all three.
I'm not sure the Sony does HDR10 Plus.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'd have to do a little research on that.
It does.
Anyway.
It does do the Dolby Vision. So
yes, it does absolutely. Yeah. Now, before we run out of time, the 8K was three TVs, and the LG OLED won that one.
Oh, interesting. But there was no QD
OLED at that
in
size.
8K.
At 8K, right.
Scott Wilkinson, home theater geek. You bring in the deets. Thank you. What's funny is, according to Stoic Squirrel, and I think he's correct, Samsung makes all the panels, right?
That's correct. Samsung makes the QD OLED panels.
Isn't that funny?
Now, but like LG, Samsung has two divisions. One is the Samsung Electronics, which makes the consumer products that people buy.
Right.
The other is Samsung Display. LG has the same thing. They have LG Electronics and LG Display.
Right.
And the LG Display or the Samsung Display is the company that makes the raw panels, and they'll sell them to whoever wants to buy them. And so Samsung Display makes the panel that goes in the Samsung QD OLED and also in the Sony QD OLED. What distinguishes them? It's the processing. It's the fact that the Sony supports Dolby Vision, and Samsung has long decided we're not going to pay Dolby the licensing fee for Dolby Vision, and instead we're going to implement this HDR10 Plus, which is fine, but Dolby Vision, there's so much more Dolby Vision content that I want a TV that'll decode it and deal with it.
Yeah.
So that's worth the extra money to me.
Oh well, after you buy this, I want to get your thoughts.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to buy it till you do. Once you buy it, I'll be very curious.
Right. Now, I meant to mention, and I didn't on the air, that next Tuesday's podcast will be all about the Shootout.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Robert Zone on. He's the owner of Value Electronics and the founder of the Shootout. I'm going to have Jason Dustle from Meridio, who was one of the calibrators, and David McKenzie, who was one of the judges. He's a compressionist who works on creating Blu-rays and Ultra HD Blu-rays. So they've got golden eyes for sure. Yeah. And so we're going to spend an hour talking about the event and how it was set up and what happened. So it's going to be a really interesting show, I think. So
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Can I use the TV as a center channel?
In some cases, yes.
That would be kind of cool.
It would be very cool. Yes and no. Sure, it would be cool. But if the TV's speaker's audio system is really crappy,
oh well, then it wouldn't be cool.
Then it's not so cool.
That would not be cool.
Right. Right. Plus the fact that some TVs have that capability. They will let you in the menu specify that their sound system is going to be the center channel.
Yeah, mine I don't think does. That's an old Panasonic Viera.
But some don't.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the Sony TVs and some LGs too have developed a system whereby the entire screen is a speaker.
Right. I remember you talking about that. This one doesn't do that, does it?
I'm not sure. I don't know. My first generation Sony OLED does.
Wow. Really?
And, yeah. And it's actually, for TV sound, it's pretty damn good.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this new one does allow you to use, it has a center channel
It has
mode.
a center channel
mode.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, if it does that same screen speaker thing, which I have to look and see. Maybe if you have the specs right there, you might be able to see that.
I'm looking and I don't see that. I was trying to find the which HDRs it supports. They don't.
Right. It doesn't do HDR10+.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. But the audio, it doesn't say how the speaker works. Center speaker in. Yeah.
I'll look.
Well, we're going to find out when you get one. All right, Scott.
You bet.
Top of the hour?
You betcha.
Scooter X says from the Sony spec page for the A95 monitor, the winner of the value shootout, HDR10, HLG, and Dolby Vision are supported. Not HDR10 Plus, but that's fine. So Scott Wilkinson, as you just heard, told us the winners, the results of the value shootout, and value electronics shootout, and QD OLED is a winner. Winner, chicken dinner. I will, of course, many do this. For some reason, this one gets a lot of attention. I think because instead of saying, well, this one's good, this one's pretty good, this one might be a little better, they say, this is the winner. And people love that. You love that, right? Tell me the one. Don't give me, I need this, that. Give me the one to buy. It sounds like we know. The Sony A95K, and again, it's not QOLED, or QLED, rather. It's QDOLED. Is an OLED screen with a QD technology. Very, very interesting. And Scott reminded me that he's going to be doing on his podcasts this week. He's going to have all the results. If you really care about this stuff, you'll want to listen to his podcast at youtube.com/AVS Forum, because this week's podcast will be all about the value electronics shootout. Back to the phones we go. 8888 Ask Leo. Randolph next on the line from Greenville, South Carolina. Hello, Randolph.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I actually used to watch you on Tech TV when I was a network manager. I'd come home from working on computers all day and then watch your show on.
I always wondered if people who work in the business, why you would want to watch more when you get home.
No, we loved it. I was a Microsoft certified systems engineer, and I'd come home and watch you guys religiously.
Nice. Well, thank you. I really appreciated that. That's great. It was a lot of fun. Those were the days, I must say. What can I do for you today?
So I have a MacBook Air that I got 11 years ago, actually this month, when before I got married, and I love it because the key travel is very large, so it's like typing on an old IBM typewriter.
Yeah.
And now that I need to get a new computer, because this is basically on its last legs, it seems like every laptop I try, even the new MacBook Airs, they don't have any key travel.
Yeah.
And it kind of freaks me out. I'm used to, having my fingers, actually move up and down.
So Apple's gone through a bad period with its keyboards. You got the 2011 MacBook Air. In 2015, they abandoned those nice high travel, because remember, they're trying to make it a very, very thin high travel keyboard for something they called the butterfly key. And they said, everybody's going to love the butterfly keyboard. This thing's the greatest thing. People hated it. Broke. It was unrepairable. It was a nightmare. But Apple, you know, they were very dogmatic. They stuck with it for years. They finally stopped shipping Butterfly keyboards with the latest MacBooks and MacBook Airs. Thank goodness. But yeah, like you and many others have noted, they're still not quite as good as the old pre-2015 keyboards. I would submit if you still want to use Mac, you should still go with that because the Apple Silicon processors are so remarkably better than the Intel processors in terms of battery life, fan power usage. Performance is exceptional. I mean, yes, you could get a faster Intel processor, but the fans would sound like a jet taking off, and it would overheat in your lap, and the battery would die in a couple of hours. So I think that there's a real, you know, how important is the keyboard to you? If you really want a good keyboard, there are still some laptops that make good keyboards, but they're all Windows, Intel laptops.
No, that's fine. Getting a Windows laptop. I mean, I'm an MCSE, so I kind of.
Oh well, you kind of need Windows, don't you? Yeah. So I think you should take a look at the Lenovo ThinkPads. I think they're very good. I'm not, you know, again, this is a very personal thing, and so I can't judge if it would be okay for you. Lenovo's famous for their keyboards. Some of their newer ones, like the ultra-thin X1 Carbons, have pretty short travel. A lot of times in the specs for it, you can see what the key travel is, millimeter or more. You want more than a millimeter, or more, probably more even than 1.5 millimeters. So you can look in the specs and narrow it down. But the ThinkPad keyboards are famous, and if you get, you know, one of the bigger ThinkPads, I think you're going to get those very nice keyboards. I have in front of me a Dell XPS, and I think this is a very nice keyboard. But maybe the travel isn't. I can't speak for you. It may not be what you want. I wish it were easier to go try these, you know, before you buy.
Yeah, that's the problem. You can't really try them anywhere.
Yeah. Everybody's moving towards these short travel keyboards because they're it saves space. So I don't know offhand. Let me see if anybody has a table of keyboard travel distance, right? The standard distance of a full travel keyboard is 4 millimeters. Some Apple keyboards are down to 1 millimeter, and I guess what you need to figure out is, well, what do I need? What do I, you know, how much travel do I need? A low travel would be anything probably 2.5 millimeters or less. So maybe you need 3 or 4. I don't know. And maybe for you, the best thing to do would be buy an external keyboard, you know?
I used to do that.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing. You mentioned a couple of weeks ago about Macintosh computers on college networks that they...
yeah, remember those days? You probably dealt with that, didn't you?
Yes, and I know what the problem was.
What was it?
The problem, it was a little bit Apple. It was with what was doing the DHCP service.
Right. They wouldn't release the lease fast enough or something, right? They'd grab them.
Only if you used Microsoft servers.
Ah.
If the DHCP was done through a Novell server,
no problem,
or through a Cisco box, no problem whatsoever.
Interesting.
But if it was a Microsoft box, they wouldn't get back the IP addresses. It didn't matter what the lease was set for. And I worked in corporations where we'd have maybe 5,000 computers and 3,000 of them would be Macintoshes. And I said, you don't use Microsoft servers. It's not going to work.
They were banned. Apple laptops for some time were banned from some college campuses because if you have enough students with them, they're going to eat up all your internet addresses and then you won't have any more.
They wouldn't give them back. Even if the lease was 7 days, they wouldn't give them back.
Really? So they were ignoring the lease time. Interesting.
Ignores the lease time. But Cisco and the Novell servers would say, okay, that lease is ours, we're taking it back.
Yeah.
And they would chop it from their end, whereas the Microsoft servers would
too polite. It was too polite.
Them to give it back.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't be polite when it comes to that. You gotta. Hey, I'm glad you.
I had a reputation for being polite.
I had this dim memory of it, and I kind of knew it was an issue of not releasing those IP addresses, but I didn't know the details. So thank you for filling me in. Very interesting.
And thank you for the info. Info on the laptop.
They ended up fixing.
ThinkPad.
They ended up fixing the Apple computers so that they would respect the least times, I think. That was the final fix for that. Good. And I hope, and, if you find one that you really like the keyboard, would you let me know what the best... I think the reputation ThinkPads have for best keyboard is well earned, but not all of them anymore, because they're all starting to, do what Apple does, glue stuff in and make it thin. But I think the old P-series ThinkPads, those are going to be still built like tanks with long key travel, I think. Look on the specs. You'll at least be able to find it out that way.
Okay.
All right.
For the info.
Hey, appreciate the call. And we'll put this in the show notes thanks to Raymond J. Toth in our chat room, a 2018 article from The Guardian. Are there any laptops with decent keyboards? Now, this is a few years ago, but this was somebody complaining about the MacBooks. And he does, in fact, say some of the older ThinkPads. The other thing that was good about the ThinkPads is, and I think this is not true as much anymore either, is you could replace parts. So, with the butterfly keyboard with Apple, you basically had to buy a new computer to fix the keyboard. With the ThinkPads, you could take out the trackpad, take out the keyboard, modify it, do all sorts of things. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Laptops are not very ergonomic to begin with. Yeah. That's the problem. That's what your problem is right there in a nutshell, boy. All right, Mr. Scott Wilkinson. I shall achieve caffeination while
Good,
you...
But before you go, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
My wife's computer is starting to get a little wonky, and we're thinking about buying a new one. She's a Mac person. We both are. And I wanted to maybe get a Mac Mini. She doesn't need a lot, and use the iMac as a monitor, but I'm not sure that's possible.
Some iMacs...
2015.
So you can find out very quickly if it has what's called target monitor mode. I don't think the 2015...
It doesn't.
Yeah.
That stopped in 2014.
Exactly.
Damn you, Apple.
Yeah. And then, and this is why I don't like iMacs. I think you're right to go for a Mac Mini. Separates are the way to go because you can upgrade either or. Yeah. And you're not stuck. Now you have this beautiful Macintosh with a monitor you just can't use.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the monitor. It's a very, very good monitor.
Yeah, and I would like to use it. But I don't think it's possible. I was thinking maybe AirPlay. From the Mac Mini to the iMac. I'm not sure if that would work though.
I don't think you can AirPlay into a Mac. That's a good question. Hello, chat room. Can you AirPlay into? Yeah, they don't. Yeah, so target display mode, but his does not support it. Could you AirPlay into a iMac? I think you're better off. I mean, honestly, monitors. Get a Dell. Get a good Dell. That's the setup I have here. This is the Mac Mini, M1 Mac Mini, and this is a $300 32-inch Samsung. It's curved, which is unfortunate, but it's a great. So I didn't know it was curved. I didn't read the specs carefully, but the price was right, and it's a great HD monitor. So that's what I end up doing.
Probably what I will do.
Oh, you can take your old TV.
65-inch, 21 inches too big for Joanna.
Come on, just sit farther from it.
Yeah, okay.
I love my 55-inch. It takes a while to get used to it. Once you get used to it, though, you can't go back.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's nice.
Man.
Oh, it's nice.
All right, we'll go get your coffee. Yeah,
Thank you,
thanks
sir. Of course.
No problem. Mike Mon, there's an app for that. I wonder, is there really an app on the iMac that would make it that would turn it into a monitor? iTech asks, is 4K future-proof now that 8K has hit the market? Well, it depends on what you mean by future-proof. I mean, ultimately, probably not, but honestly, 8K is on the market now, but it ain't cheap. It requires really a very big screen. For example, the 3 8K TVs that were in the shootout this last weekend are all 88 inches, or 88 in the case of the LG OLED. And the cost of the Sony 85Z9K is $10,000. The Samsung QN900B is $8,500. And the LG 88-inch Z2 OLED is $25,000. So it's going to be quite a while, I think, until 8K migrates into more affordable products. And even when it does, 8K in a 65-inch TV makes no sense at all. It really doesn't, because especially at a normal seating distance. Now, if you're 2 feet away, sure, 8K in a 65-inch would be great. But you're not sitting 2 feet away from any TV. You're sitting 8 to 10 feet away. At which point, 8K in a 65-inch TV, you cannot see the difference. Now, there are those who will argue, and I do understand this, that 8K does give you some advantage, even if you can't see the difference in resolution, in detail. Some diagonal lines and a few things will look slightly better. And then there's the issue of when are we going to get native 8K content? In the Shootout, they evaluated the 8K TVs in 2 ways. They looked at native 8K content, which had to come from a computer because there's no other way to get 8K content. I guess there is a little content on YouTube, but again, that's a computer. But more importantly, they looked at 4K content that the TV then upscaled to 8K. So I don't think 4K is going away anytime soon. To tell you the truth, I think 4K is overkill on a 65-inch screen. But that's what you get these days. There's no getting around it. That's all they make. You can get 1080p TVs, but at the very low end of each manufacturer's lineup. Virtually everything that I would want to buy, even in the mid-range and up, is going to be 4K. It's also going to have smart TV functionality. It's very rare to find a TV without some sort of smart TV platform. So I don't think 4K is going away anytime soon. Anytime soon at all. Micah Sargent. Thank you, Micah. There's no clean way to do it to get my iMac to be a monitor. If the Mac Mini is headless, it loses some AirPlay options. Oh, man. You could set up screen sharing from the Mac Mini and use the Mac you have with it, but then you're not getting the full power of the Mac Mini since performance will be used in part to facilitate the screen sharing. Good point. Thank you, Micah. I really appreciate that. I'm sad to say that I wish Apple hadn't taken away target display mode. K Woods, yeah, too rich for my blood too. Those 8K TVs, that's a bit much for me. Tokyo Tony asks, wouldn't a display as speaker, which is what the Sony does, some LGs as well, cause a lot of vibration on the screen? Yes, the screen vibrates, but the frequencies are high enough that you can't see it. It's invisible. And this kind of technology doesn't use the screen for low frequencies. In fact, the Sony, I'm pretty sure all TVs that do this, have a separate subwoofer. Subwoofer in quotes, because of course it's a TV. So it's not a real subwoofer, but it has a different speaker to reproduce the low frequencies. If you were to have the screen do that, reproduce the low frequencies, then yes, you would see that. And it would be really annoying. So they don't do it. On the mids and highs on the screen, you never see it. You simply can't see it. Let's see. Adrian Terry says, is there any practical use for 8K? Medical imaging. That's a big application for 8K. Because obviously when you're looking at X-rays or CAT scans or anything like that, if you can capture the image in 8K and display it in 8K, you got a lot more information. The doctor can see it better. That's a really important application. Military applications, much as I hate military applications, 8K is good for that too. But for TVs, for consumers, I honestly don't see it.
Have you, do you have Disney Plus?
I do.
Oh, you got to watch. You will love the Industrial Light and Magic documentary. It's called Light and Magic.
Oh, really?
Highly recommend it.
Oh.
One of the things that's really interesting about it is it starts with Star Wars. So it starts with the founding of Industrial Light and Magic. And everything in Star Wars is practical effects. You know, it's puppets, it's models,
and
stop motion.
Yeah, yeah.
And it covers the transition from that to digital. And I hadn't really thought about it, but all of those model makers, all those guys, you know, suddenly they spent their life doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden with episode 1, it's all digital.
Yeah.
In fact, it started with Jurassic Park.
And are they out of work then, the model makers?
Well,
they kind of are. Or did they transition?
Some of them transitioned. They transitioned. For instance, Lippert, the guy who was famous for his stop motion, knew how dinosaurs moved. So he ended up directing the digital artists who were doing the stop motion. He said, "Oh, this is how it's got to." And so it was, but it's really worth watching. 6 episodes, really worth watching.
Oh, okay, good.
4K HDR.
Very good.
Yeah,
excellent.
Thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. See you next week.
Next week. $8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. If you want to talk high tech with Leo Laporte, I am your tech guy. I was talking with Scott in between the breaks about a new show on Disney Plus. Fascinating show. So on this show, we talk a lot about the transition to digital. I mean, everything really that has happened over the last 15 to 20 years really started with the widespread adoption of the internet, I think, mid-90s. So you could say the last 25, 27 years has been about the transition from traditional forms of doing things, like newspapers, like books, cassettes, to digital forms, and how that's really been disruptive in the long run. I think good, in the most part, for consumers and for content creators, but there's some negatives. It's been certainly disruptive. In fact, that's the word that technology journalists use to describe this. It's disruption. And I was telling Scott about a documentary that's on Disney Plus right now that epitomizes this. It's called Light and Magic. It's the story of Industrial Light and Magic. George Lucas, in the early days, the very earliest days, when he was making the first Star Wars, was irritated by the fact that they had to have film. And they had to have, edit film by cutting it and taping it back together again. And he said, we spent a huge amount of time going through bins of stuff we'd cut out to get it back so we could put it back in. It was very annoying. And it's really, I think, now admittedly, this documentary is produced by Lucasfilm, directed by Larry Kasdan, who is one of the he wrote the screenplay for several Star Wars. I mean, it's very much a George Lucas joint production. So it's very much to honor George, but I think deservedly so. He had this vision. He said, I want to do it all digitally. Star Wars was amazing for its time, 1977. You remember the very first shot, which is really the shot that establishes, it takes your breath away in Star Wars. You're watching, you see a planet, the surface of a planet, and a moon rising behind it, and then you see a ship firing, just as we've seen before in many space operas, firing lasers. It's being chased, right? This little ship goes off on the screen, and then you remember this, the Imperial destroyer, which comes into view and takes over the whole screen, and you're awestruck by the scale of it. A really clever trick, because of course the little rebel ship is the size of a pack of cigarettes. And the destroyer, it's maybe a few feet, 6 feet. But because of the way it's shot, because of your expectation, the filmmakers brilliantly tricked you, and you have this awestruck moment where you go, oh, that thing is huge. Everything in that, in the first 3 Star Wars movies, were what they call practical effects, puppets, motion stop motion animation models shot. And one of the innovations Industrial Light and Magic did was having the camera move, not the model move. The camera moved around the model. Brilliant. They invent all of this stuff to make it work. And we're brilliant at it. Won Academy Awards. Made perhaps the most successful movie franchise in history. I mean, they're brilliant. But along comes, but George says, no, it's got to be digital. And a couple of computer guys came along and they started hiring more and more of them. George poured millions of dollars into something that in, 1978, 79, 80 was really very speculative. Computers were not very powerful. Couldn't really do these graphics, but he poured money into it. He believed. And eventually they came up with something called the Edit Droid, which was a computer that could edit film instead of, they came up with digital cameras, and they came up with digital effects, computer graphics, CGI. And almost overnight transformed the industry. The first movie that really, there were a couple of movies, you probably remember Terminator 2 with the silver Terminator robot, the liquid metal Terminator robot, or The Abyss, James Cameron's movie with the watery pod, very early computer graphics. But it was at the time of the making of Jurassic Park that Industrial Light and Magic, Stan Winston, the great model maker, is already building a life-size Tyrannosaurus Rex. It almost finished. Tippett, their famous stop-motion guy, was building little models and testing movement of Tyrannosauruses. And then along come the computer guys. This is 1993. Along come the computer guys and say, we've been staying late at night. In the off hours, and we've created a animated T-Rex. What? And we're going to show you a little film of this T-Rex running across a field. And everybody, their jaws dropped. They said, you can do that in a computer. And all of a sudden, Harry Winston stops building the model. And Tippett stops making his little puppets. And the entire industry changes. Phil Tippett is a legendary stop-motion guy. The entire industry changes. And overnight, all the people at ILM who had been making models and puppets and out of work. Computers have taken over. Now, the really cool thing is Phil Tippett kept his job because he was the guy who did the little stop-motion, velociraptors and stuff. In order to do those stop motions, he had to really understand how they moved. So he kept his job. He told the computer guys, okay, now this is how it's got to move. So he became an expert in computerized character animation. What a story. Really, 6 episodes, an hour long. But from the point of view of disruption, of how technology changes things in so many ways. And we're pretty well aware of how, slowly the frog is being boiled. Suddenly you don't go into the bank anymore. You use an ATM. All of a sudden, your phone in your pocket isn't really so much a phone as it is a computer. You're always connected to the internet. We're well aware of how all these changes have, gradually crept up on us. But boy, I hadn't really thought about it in the motion pictures. I'm sure Scott Wilkinson does, and a lot of you. But boy, what a transformation! And almost overnight, in the mid-90s, boom. Computer graphics. Whew. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Let's get a call in here before we take a break. Kevin is on the line from Las Vegas. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Leo. Yes, calling from the monsoon season of Las Vegas.
Is it pouring rain in Vegas?
Well, not right now, but it has been, and it will be this week.
Wow.
But,
you've got all these tunnels under the city that are for the water, for the runoff. And they just flood.
Yeah, and it's not what they say. It doesn't really help us because they say we get most of it from the Colorado River.
Oh,
and so Lake Mead doesn't necessarily gain from it. But
that's too bad. Yeah, that's too bad because Mead needs it. Mars needs women. Mead needs water. So, what can I do for you, Kevin?
Well, I'm trying to hook up my iPad Pro, it's a 3rd generation, to my new Dell monitor I just got for my Mac Studio, which is great, by the way, except for the little joystick control on the is not really the best. But other than that, the hookup, I have it hooked from USB-C to Thunderbolt.
Do you have an adapter?
Yeah, I have. What I have is a HDMI to USB-C to the iPad Pro.
Okay.
And that's hooked to the Dell monitor. I also have two other monitors I have hooked to it. The Dell is the main, and then I have extended for a Samsung monitor and an RCA TV.
The good news, by the way, is as soon as iOS 16 comes out, this is going to get a lot easier.
Oh, that's what I was hoping.
Yeah. This is one of the features of iOS 16 is you can run a big monitor off your iPad. So that's going to be huge.
Now,
yeah.
I'm getting the video through the Dell, but not the audio.
Interesting. So HDMI does carry audio.
Yeah.
It may be that you have an adapter that isn't passing the audio, that's only passing the video.
Yeah. Well, it's a direct cable. It's not an adapter.
Well, it is though. I mean, it has to kind of be. So it's going to take the type. You have an iPad Pro with a C connector, is that right?
Right.
Which model? You have the latest model iPad Pro. And is it an M1 iPad Pro?
It's a third generation.
Third generation, okay.
Yeah.
And so that Type-C is actually not Thunderbolt on that one. It's USB.
Right.
And then on the other end, you have an HDMI port. Is that right?
Right, the Dell.
Then an HDMI cable comes from the adapter into the Dell.
Right.
Okay. I would just say check the adapter to make sure that it passes audio. I think they don't all. And it may be because, remember, you're not using Thunderbolt on the iPad, you're using USB. It may be there's not enough bandwidth to pass both video and audio at the same time. I'm just looking. Whose adapter are you using?
Oh, I'm trying to remember who I got.
Check look at the specs for the adapter you bought. I'm looking at one right now from CDW. It's USB-C to HDMI multiport adapter, and it does only deliver video. It doesn't deliver audio. It doesn't say audio in its spec. So
here's the weird thing. I hooked it up to the RCA TV HDMI ports.
Yeah.
So let me try it on that. And I went into Airplay. I had to go in Airplay and change it to Mac Studio from the connector. But what happens is the video goes to the Dell monitor, and I get audio through my speakers. Now, isn't that bizarre?
Okay. Does it? Okay. Now I don't know. So the yeah. So that sounds like the adapter is passing audio, but the Dell is not. The Dell is not receiving or seeing it somehow.
Yeah.
Make sure. I don't even know. This part of the problem is the iPad really isn't designed to do this. In fact, that's one of the reasons they're making such, hey, on iOS 16, finally you'll be able to use an external monitor with an iPad. They act as if you never could, right? So you can, obviously, but maybe it doesn't. For instance, maybe the iPad doesn't send video out in a format that the Dell understands, but for some reason the RCA does. That kind of thing.
But why would it send the signal to the video signal to the Dell?
Is the RCA connected, or is it just AirPlaying?
No, it's connected to. I have it connected to the Mac Studio with HDMI. So I have all three monitors connected to the Mac Studio.
I see. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, this is a kind of a complicated layout, and I'm not sure if I'm really visualizing it properly. That's interesting. I don't know off the top of my head. I just know that in 3 weeks you won't have to worry so much. Maybe a little more than 3 weeks. Apple's event in September will probably... Oh, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I take that back. Apple announced, or maybe it's a rumor, but I think the rumor is reliable that Apple will not, in fact, ship iPad OS 16 at the same time as iOS 16. They're going to do the phone iOS 16 in September. It won't be till October. And they're having trouble with iPad OS, apparently, 16. But you might try, this is one thing you could do, There is a public beta of iPad OS 16. So I don't know if that third generation supports it. It may not, because I think it's for M1 specifically. But read the specs and see. And if in fact, that external monitor support is there, you can run iPad OS 16 in the public beta. I've been using the public beta. It's pretty reliable. Pretty reliable. They said the problem with it is chiefly Stage Manager, the thing that lets you have kind of windows and stuff. That's where they're having the biggest problem. Yeah, I love that space that they shoot in. That's part of the. They talk about that in the last episode of Light and Magic. And then because of that, I went and watched the documentary. They call it Disney Gallery or something. The documentary about the making of the Mandalorian. I shouldn't confess this. I'm not the massive Star Wars fan that many of my geek friends are, because I was an adult when it came out. So, but, after seeing this documentary, I got very interested. So I did start watching The Mandalorian. And you know what? I didn't like it before, but I like it now. I like it. I know. It's shocking, isn't it? Yeah, it might be the Apple adapter is the way to go. Oh, I love the Sandman. I have that very nice bound edition of the Sandman, and I've, of course, listened to the audiobook production, so I will be watching the Sandman, you bet. Yeah, what's cool about The Mandalorian, especially once you understand how it's produced, is it looks better than the movies. The special effects are dramatically good. Dramatically good. Yeah. It's funny, even in the documentary, George says, yeah, I'm not very good at writing stories. I thought, wow, you fooled everybody. You fooled us. Yeah, Strange New Worlds is good. Oh, Howard the Duck was awful. Okay, there's just no excuse for that. I have a family member who actually was in Howard the Duck, and I still hate it. Yeah, Kasdan definitely was good at it. That's why it's fun to see him direct the documentary. Leo, you've got me on my knees, Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott on the line from Paradise, Texas. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the show. Today? I am very well. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
What can I do for you to help you?
So 2 months ago, my wife and I moved from Southern California to Texas.
You joined the Great Exodus.
We joined the Great Exodus, and we're loving it.
Good.
Working well for us. Problem here, though, is that neither one of our laptops want to let go of the fact that we still live in, that we used to live in Southern California.
And how do you know that? Why do they think you're there?
I don't know, but location services put me at my own house, my old house, every time. It sets time zones to...
oh, that's very annoying. Yeah. Who are you? Are you using a local internet service provider in Texas?
I am, and when I ascertained the IP address, and it puts me. It's a site-to-site big tall antenna dish on top of my roof, but it places me well less than a mile away from where.
Oh, good. All right. Yeah. So this is a kind of a weak way to determine your location, but it's probably the most common. It's called GeoIP location, using your IP address to say where you are. Of course, the IP address, they don't know where you are exactly. They only know where the ISP is. And an internet service provider often will say, well, this range of IP addresses is in this town. So maybe it'll get you as close as a town, but it still shouldn't think you're in Southern California. And is the internet service provider a Texas internet service provider?
It is.
Yeah, sometimes this happens on your cell phone, for instance, because the cell phone company is in St. Louis or Kansas City. And so, the IP address is identified as Kansas City. But, that's, there are other clues that your computer could be using. Why is your computer not adjusting? So there are a couple of things you should check. Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Okay. So you want to go into the date and time control panel and check to see if the time zone is set automatically.
Okay, if I set time zone automatically, it takes me back to California.
What?
Yes.
Why I oughta? That's just wrong. I don't. That's bizarre.
My computer right now says it's 12:27.
Yeah. Well, it is, but not in Texas.
Not here.
Not in Texas. Well, that is a very, that I understand if the computer isn't doing that properly. And so what you're doing is you're setting the time zone manually in the settings, but the computer should know. Hang on, I got to take a break. Johnny Jet's coming up. I'll talk with you off the air. We'll find out what's going on here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That is really weird. I understand if it's the other way around, you're not syncing it and you still had, I can set mine for Texas time. But why would it be doing that automatically? So what Windows does is it goes out and checks the time server. And it gets the time, and then on mine I just changed myself to Texas, set time zone automatically back on, and it detected the time zone. So that's got to be something going on with your internet service provider. The computer doesn't have GPS, so all it can do is check with the IP. It basically do geo-IP location, I think.
Well, like either Bing Maps or Google Maps.
What do they say?
I have location services on.
Yeah.
When I go to my location, it takes me to my old next door neighbor's house.
Gosh darn it! It's really stuck
every time. Yeah,
it's really stuck.
And it's two different laptops. So.
Did you bring your router with you?
I did not.
Okay, so you're using the new wireless ISP's router. It's a complete new ISP. How? Boy, that is really.
Oh, and I've been all through the Google searches to and it seems it's not an uncommon problem. Other people have.
Well, it's really common because of geo-IP location, which is very imperfect. But
well, even exactly what I'm experiencing here, I've seen other people, ask questions about that, and in some of the different. Blogs or whatever.
If you try a different browser, do you still get the same mistake?
Yes.
I'm trying to narrow down where is the information being stored that's wrong. So even in a different browser, it's in fact download one you never used before. Get Vivaldi.
Yeah, that I have not done.
Just try that. I'm out of curiosity. If you get Vivaldi, you've never used Vivaldi, right? Probably nobody has. It's a good browser based on Google Chromium. Download Vivaldi. See where it thinks you are. It may be. You see what I'm doing? I'm trying to figure out what is it that something is sticky about your location. And as a result, that stickiness is communicating. Is it the browser? Is the browser caching your location? I asked about the router. It's a brand new router from the local internet service provider. So, right? It's their router?
It's their router. And then I also, yes, I'm using their router. And then I bought the Google because it's a little larger property. So I needed a little better spread.
Got the Wi-Fi thing. Okay.
The Nest.
Okay, that's interesting. I wonder if the Nest is.
I was doing it before I had that installed.
Oh, and the Nest you got in Texas.
And the Nest I bought. Well, I bought it from
So it never knew your old address. So there's no way the Nest knew your old address.
Nor did the router that the ISP provider supplied me.
So something has memorized your location. Could it be Google?
And it's down to my old address.
Yeah. No, it's memorized your location. Try clearing the browser cache. I'm just wondering if the browser's caching this.
Done that. In fact, I did a complete, reset stuff.
Yeah.
Redid the computer, but I
did all of that, and it's still doing it.
And I did the option where I retained all of my data, and I didn't want to quite go through the pain of
I don't blame you.
Flush and wash, but that's going to be my next option, I suppose. But it's two different.
No, you shouldn't have to do that. No, because it's two different laptops. Something is telling it where it is, and it's something that you had in L.A.
The only thing we had in L.A. were the two laptops themselves. Those are the only two pieces that are identical. And they're two really different: a Dell and a Microsoft Surface.
Yeah.
So
I would try a different browser just to see what happens. I got to run because Johnny's here. He's been everywhere. He's even been both to L.A. and Texas. He's in Southern California right now, though. Our traveling guy, Johnny Jet. JohnnyJet.com. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Leo. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Good. I just scrambled to get back to the house because I just took the kids to the Century City Mall.
Oh, fun.
To meet Bluey, which is an Australian cartoon. It's hilarious.
Bluey?
It's on Disney.
And they're fans?
Oh, yeah. And I got invited to a media invite. They're having this big event there today. So they got to take a picture with Bluey.
Does Bluey have an Australian accent?
Yeah, he's hilarious. Actually, you'd actually like it. It's one cartoon that is, and it's only like 6 minutes long.
There's so many kids' cartoons that are just, as an adult, just painful. My kids loved Barney, and I got so sick of, I love you.
You know what? Times have changed. It's my kid... My son knows more than I do about animals and wildlife. Every day he teaches me something. I'm like, are you serious? And space? I'm like, where does he get this? There's so many educational shows out there. Bluey's not one of them, but there are some amazing ones on PBS.
Good. Well, I'm glad they like a show that's
and travel related.
painful.
By the way, there's a lot of travel related ones, which I love.
Well, remember where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? That was great for kids. They learned a lot of geography.
Yeah, they upgraded since then. But
yeah. So everything's upgraded since then.
Yeah.
So let's talk traveling better. Lisa said
it's a mess out there right now. By the way,
it's a mess. Well, and Lisa said we're not going anywhere until this COVID thing goes away, because as you know, we cut COVID on our cruise. Not a mild case, and we're better, but.
So shouldn't you be protected for the next 20 days at least?
Well, we're not thinking about it. So the next trip isn't until the spring.
I see.
But that's the problem. We didn't think this trip would be a problem.
Right.
We thought, oh my gosh, July of 2022, it should be over by then.
Right.
Wrong. But I think most people now aren't wearing masks. They're just saying, well, I had it, I got it, I'm probably all right. There will be a new vaccine apparently this fall, they say, that will cover more variants. I think we're just going to do it, right? People are traveling.
Almost 2.4 million people went through TSA checkpoints yesterday.
Nice.
In 2019, pre-pandemic, the same day was 2.75. So
it's pretty much back.
We're close. We're very close.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind, the reason why we're not is probably because the airlines have all cut their schedules back because they can't handle it. They don't have the staff.
Yeah.
The airports don't have the staff, and which is why the last few days have actually been a mess because of storms on the East Coast. Today, there's over 3,600 delayed flights within the U.S. Southwest.
It's not just losing your luggage; it's losing your flight.
Southwest yesterday had a computer glitch at Phoenix for a little bit, or 2 days ago maybe. But American today has 460 delayed flights, 131 canceled. There's Newark is at the top of the airports today for the most canceled and delayed in the world. Most canceled, 81 flights out of Newark, and it's early. The thunderstorms, actually, I don't think they're going to come till tomorrow.
Wow.
So
summer travel's always a hit and miss, though, in the U.S.
Try and fly in the morning.
Morning's
Try
better.
and fly in the morning.
Okay.
Except if you're flying out of Toronto, because in Toronto, if you're going to the U.S., those queues for the immigration are long unless you have Nexus and Global Entry, which make all the difference in the world. But Toronto's, been ranked as one of the worst airports in North America, in the world this year.
I always try to not stop in Chicago in the summer because I feel like Chicago gets shut down by thunderstorms every day.
Without a doubt. And Chicago is it's about number 12 today.
Yeah.
And it's still relatively early. So keep that in mind.
Okay.
But, if you can leave early, book the first flight. The crew's usually there. The plane's usually there. But just keep in mind that there will be long security lines to try and get TSA pre and other things. But show up early. You got to show up early, because if you miss your flight, you're not going to get on another one for a while, because the planes are going out full.
Some of those lines are long. We were blown away by the length of the TSA lines coming home from Seattle, the SeaTac airport. Man, it was the line went serpentined for miles, it felt like.
Have you seen Maui's? Maui's is insane. I just did a post on it this week, how to avoid it. So you really want to, for Maui, you want to avoid peak hours, which they're saying is between 10 a.m. and I think 1 p.m. or 1:30. So try and fly in the morning or the evening.
Does the TSA app help? Is that a useful?
Definitely. So that's one of my tips. Get the My TSA app. It's a great app because it will tell you the history of the wait times for the checkpoints, but it will also tell you real time. So, and also you want to get TSA pre because at Maui you just, they say it's less than 10 minutes to zip through. Otherwise you're waiting an hour and a half in the line.
But don't tell everybody that, because
it's too late.
Then everybody will have it, and then it won't be as good as it was, because everybody will have it. You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm coming from?
You. I definitely know where you're coming from.
But if you're smart enough to listen to this show, okay, you get My TSA app. And then get TSA pre, or I got Global Entry, which gives you pre.
If you go to Canada, get Nexus.
Yeah.
Century from Mexico.
Yeah. And
Nexus includes Global Entry and TSA pre, and it's only $50 for 5 years. But you have to go to an office in Canada or on the border. Right now, all the Canadian offices are closed for Nexus, so it's difficult to get an appointment.
Wow! And
actually, I just wrote a post that is going to come out tomorrow. It's the secret site where users can find Global Entry, Nexus, and Century appointments, and I'll share it with you now. So there's a Twitter handle called Global Entry Now.
Oh,
go to that. And it will, whenever appointment opens up, because people are canceling them, it will show up, and it will tell you where. It will tell you what kind of appointment, because it's for.
Who's this guy? How does he know?
You know what? He must have wrote some kind of code.
He's doing something.
So, and it's for all three. And I had a Nexus appointment this summer. I went to Niagara Falls, New York, with my daughter, because we've been waiting to get her an appointment. And people are like, "How did you get that appointment?" I actually did it the old-fashioned way. I worked at it. I kept checking all the time. I didn't know about this Twitter handle. So, but I'm saving other people now. It's
amazing that this even exists. This is not an official TSA
It's not.
thing, but somebody's figured it out.
Definitely. So get in there. And if you need to find an appointment, just log on and just keep. It's literally tweeting like every few minutes and all throughout the night.
Wow.
So have your. I would have your login all ready to go into the government site, and that way you can just snag that appointment.
On the appointment. Like there's one at Miami right now, 11:30 a.m. August 19th. Run in there, get it. So even these are still a little bit. This is 13 days away.
Well, some are. Last night was November, February, August. Some was for today. One was for today. So you could get a last minute appointment.
Somebody canceled, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
holy cow!
It's a great hack. It really is.
TSA pre isn't free. It's what, 100.
TSA pre-check is $85 for 5 years, but don't get that. Get Global Entry. That's $100 for 5 years. It includes TSA pre.
Okay.
Some premium credit cards cover it, so check with your credit card provider and then make sure you pay for that fee with it, and they'll reimburse you. But Nexus, if you're going to Canada, is $50 for 5 years and includes both.
Okay.
And then Century is like $122.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world when you travel.
Yes. And that's what this show is all about. Johnny Jet's segment, all about traveling better using technology. If you're going to travel, might as well enjoy it. I got my Global Entry, and I have to say, having that Global Entry is nice because you don't have to take you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take out your laptop. You just get a little bit better treatment, which is good. And then the lines are shorter in many cases.
Yeah, I'm going to post a picture in the chat room of my post, and the main picture is a picture I took in Toronto Airport this summer of the global entry line. There's no one in it.
No one in it. Awesome. So go to johnnyjet.com. That's his website, johnnyjet.com/newsletter. He has a number of free, useful travel newsletters. He's got a booking service, all sorts of good stuff on there. You can also follow him on Twitter and Instagram and join him every week right here. Thank you, Johnny Jet. Safe travels.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye. Wave bye-bye, Johnny. Yeah, I was really mad at the when we were in Seattle because we got there really early, and the lounge would only let us in 3 hours before our flight.
Oh, yeah, they got these new rules.
So mad.
That was Alaska, or was that Delta? That was Alaska.
No, it was Admiral, American Express.
Oh,
Admiral.
American.
Yeah.
No, American
Admiral.
Express.
What do they call it?
Centurion. Okay,
yeah.
That's American Express.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent lounge, but we had to like go sit around until 3 hours.
But you know what? They had to do that because
it's crowded.
They're insane. They really were. And, I actually gave up my American Express Platinum card during COVID.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. And Lisa said, well, let's get rid of this thing because it's expensive. It's like $400 a year.
$550.
Oh, let's get rid of it and get something else. Is there something else that has as many travel benefits?
Well, if you travel, it's worth it because you get $200 credit
everywhere
towards whatever airline for extras, but you also get that they'll also cover your global entry fee for $100.
And the reason I got it originally was because they helicopter you out if you get sick in a foreign land. And, I got it for, that kind of thing. But
you want to get MedJet for that.
Well, I think
MedJet Assist.
The Platinum gives you some sort of evacuation.
Well, I can't remember, but MedJet will take you to the hospital of your choice.
I love that.
I think the American Express one will take you to the.
I'll take any hospital.
Well, some countries you don't want any hospital.
Well, that's true. All right. Okay. All right. What else did I learn besides those long TSA lines? Well, you just get there early, right? That's the key, is get there early.
You don't want to get too early. Actually, the airports, even Heathrow, are saying do not come so early because you're just causing more chaos. So check with the airport wherever you're flying. If you're checking bags, you got to show up earlier. That's why I tell people not to check a bag. It will make a big difference. You don't have to stand around. It seems like an eternity to wait for your bag, but also to check it. The lines could be really long to check it. So, yeah, I'll put some stuff out in my newsletter and I'll share it in the chat room.
Thank you, my friend. And are you going anywhere in the near future?
I'm trying to stay home right now.
I think I want to stay home. Yeah, we're staying local.
Yeah. The kids are about to start school.
And I'm trying to reassure Lisa that, well, first of all, I mean, if it comes close, to the trip in April, we could just cancel. But I mean, I'm not going to cancel now. Let's just cross our fingers. No. Maybe everything will be okay.
Which trip
this is a Mediterranean cruise, so it's Lisbon to Rome.
Don't cancel yet. Unless you can get your money back in full now.
Well, the funny thing is, this is the trip that we are taking because the other previous two were canceled.
Asia.
We had 2 cruises canceled. So I kept shifting the money. I paid for this in 2019. So I keep shifting the money over, and the insurance, thank God, goes along with it. By the way, thank you. I don't know who the insurer was, but Jane, our travel agent. My mom briefly thought, it'd be fun to go on that riverboat trip we're doing in a couple of years, but she'll be 92 then. So I had Jane. It was one room left on the Viking, and it was the handicapped room, access room. So I thought, that'll be great. I can wheel her in and out in a wheelchair, and we got the insurance and everything. Then Mom changed her mind.
Did she?
But the insurance, whoever it was, thank you.
Okay.
We did it quickly enough. Jane had to talk them into it. Thank you, Jane. But they gave us the insurance back, which was $1,700. So I was glad for that.
Ask your travel agent about which insurance company for certain things, especially older people, because not every insurance company will cover
Jane's really good on this. Yeah, I'm very grateful to her.
Or insuremytrip.com is a good site for that too.
Okay.
But I also work with Allianz, so
I never used to get. I think it was Allianz. I used to never get travel insurance, never. And Jane says, "Oh no, you got to have it," and you've convinced me of it. So I do now, even though it's expensive.
It's a peace of mind.
But it's Thank you, Johnny.
Take care.
Bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number on the line. Steve from Corona, California. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
I had a question about recovering data off a Android cell phone.
Oh, okay.
I had a cell phone, let's just put it politely, that was taken without permission.
Oh,
and
no.
I recovered, physically got the cell phone back after about a year. And
Wow. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not everything was backed up on it. So I was trying to figure out what would be the best route to recover maybe text messages or photos off the phone itself and then off the SIM card, because it still has the original SIM card, or not SIM card, the SD card. It still has the original SD card that was in it when it was taken.
So the first thing you can do, and it's worth a try, is just mount the phone. Windows has drivers built in. On a Macintosh, you have to use Android file transfer. But in both cases, the phone, when you connect it via a USB cable to a computer, the phone will say, oh, and it'll say, you have a choice. You can be MTP or you can be PTP. You can either be, the computer can see me as a camera and transfer the photos off, which makes it easier to find the photos, or see it as a USB drive, which is what you want. And then that phone will mount as a USB drive, and that includes the SD card. You'll see a folder with all that stuff. That may be sufficient for you. I mean, everything's there. You may be able to get everything you want. There are, of course, third-party programs that will do this maybe a little bit easier. They kind of understand the file directory structure and so forth. But if you just want to try it right now, plug it in your computer, see what you see.
I have access to the phone. I know the data has been deleted off of it.
Ah, you need to unerase.
Yes.
Ah, all right. So there are a lot of programs that do that. I'm going to recommend the one that's free to try anyway, from a company that I've been recommending for a long time. I think they're very good. EaseUS, EaseUS.com. And they have something they call MobiSaver, and it recovers deleted as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
So there are other programs that will do this, but essentially all data recovery on all computers is the same thing. Computers don't take the time to erase the data. They just release it. They tell the directory, hey, there was a file here. You can use it for something else. And as long as it's not been overwritten, all the data is still there. It doesn't get erased. That's why maybe you've seen like these special erasing tools that really erase data. They overwrite it. But the computer erase, throwing in the trash and emptying the trash, doesn't actually erase data ever. So all of these tools can go and look, and they actually look at the sectors and say, oh, yeah, I see the data there. And depending on the file system, Windows, for instance, just changes the first letter of the directory entry to what looks like an upside-down E. So they look for that, and they go, oh, yeah, I see a lot of files. They change the upside-down E to some other letter, and now they're there. So it's a pretty simple thing to do. This EaseUS makes very good file recovery stuff. It's free. I'd certainly start there.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome. I'm glad you called and asked. I'm also glad you got the phone back. I have a feeling there's a story there. I feel like there's a year later, I got it back. Wow. I should have asked. So that's something good to know, though. Deleting a file, dragging it to the trash, emptying the trash, or pressing the delete key or whatever. On Mac, on Windows, on iOS, on Android, it actually doesn't. It's good to know for a couple of reasons. One, it's good if you accidentally delete something. You can almost always get it back if you don't write something over it in the meantime, right? So the first thing you should, if you erase something by accident, stop, don't do anything else. Get a file deletion recovery tool. It's also good to know that if you're going to, sell a hard drive or whatever, it's not enough just to erase it. That data's still there. And that's why there are all these tools that are, secure erase. In fact, Apple has that built into the operating system. If you right-click on the trash can, you can secure erase it. What does that do? Well, it overwrites the data. But don't do that unless you're really sure that you don't want to recover it ever. I don't know if Windows has that built in. I don't see it if I right-click the recycle bin. But there's certainly tools that will do it, like Derek's Boot and Nuke. D-Ban. On we go to Mac in Laguna Woods, California. Hi, Mac.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
Great. Welcome.
So I got a Facebook two-factor authentication loop glitch.
A loop glitch? Oh, no.
Yeah.
So you're going in there, and it says, what's your two-factor? And you give it, and then it says, what's your two-factor?
Worse.
So
if you set up a two-factor with, like, Google authentication or Facebook two-factor, and then you have to reset your phone, or if you put default setting or your phone number changes,
then you can't do the two-factor anymore.
No.
In most cases, I don't know about Facebook because I don't use Facebook, but in most cases, there's an escape hatch because this happens all the time where you can reset the two-factor. You might have to jump through additional hoops. Obviously, you would want to because the whole point is somebody doesn't have your authenticator can't hack your account. But usually there's a way to jump through some hoops so that you can reset it.
So the biggest problem is that they don't have any real people working.
Yeah.
So
it's free.
With like an ID, or they make you send in bills, or your date of birth.
That's right.
Wrong when you set it up.
That's right.
There is no help.
If I'm looking at the Facebook Help Center, thank you to our chat room for putting this useless link up. If you're unable to log in after trying various things, well, put this in the show notes so you can at least look at it. I bet you've already looked at it. You'll need to confirm your identity to log in, and that's what you're talking about. When you get to the point where it says enter your two-factor, you see a link there that says need another way to authenticate. You click other options, get more help, follow the on-screen instructions. But what you're saying is they're not much use.
You can do that till the cows come home, and if they don't approve your stuff, glitch.
Yeah.
People.
Well, you understand they're trying to prevent somebody from hacking your account, which is very widespread on Facebook, unfortunately. But in order to do that, they have to assume that you're a bad guy trying to get in until you prove otherwise.
Agreed. So one of the things is like, if people have stated their email address is compromised, that's one thing. A bunch of fall in the bucket and say, okay, we sent you in this and that and documents. The email address is fine. Send the recovery there, but there's no people. I think they're all busy trying to outfit people with goggles.
Yeah, well, if you have 3 billion customers, it's going to be hard for you to give human responses. And remember, Facebook's free, so it's always a good thing to keep in mind when you have a free service. Don't expect a whole lot of support. Yeah, there's no humans.
But all our data, so they should be basically pushed to let us use. Figure out a way to make this right.
Yeah.
Our data, isn't that kind of like giving them,
Yeah. But you gave it to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. So really important lesson for anybody using any free service. A, don't count on support. I remember we had a caller who went to the Google offices in Irvine and banged on the door, hoping somebody human would answer the door. No one ever did. I think it's all robots inside anyway. So don't expect great service, and really follow the additional instructions. And if there's something stored on your account, you probably have a lot of photos and family history, all sorts of stuff you've been putting there for years. Go the extra mile to back it up, to protect it. When they give you recovery codes, print them and lock them in a safe. You got to go the extra mile because they're not obligated to help you get it back. They really aren't. And obviously, they're not doing a very good job. I'm sorry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, this Facebook loop, there's a whole Reddit. We'll put this in the show notes. There's a whole Reddit link the chatbot has found. Thank you, Scooter X, with the Facebook authentication loop. And you're not the first person who's called with this. I mean, I've heard this many, many times. All I can say is just you did do a backup. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
But it's just my business account. People that advertise with can't get in.
Oh, I know.
On YouTube, there's a couple of videos on a guy with an English accent, a guy that runs an advertising business, that they're trying to work through this lawsuit. If they get it, I don't know what it's going to take to get the Zuckerberg on there.
I mean, I hate to say it, but they don't owe anybody anything. It's a free service. And, I'm sure if you look at the terms of service, they have absolutely, they can afford lawyers by the pound.
Agreed.
They've absolutely locked it down so that you can sue all you want, but there really is no remedy. I'm so glad to hear that you backed it up. And I think there are a lot of people who don't.
Photos. I agree. Part of it is, maybe when you come back from break is to, I backed it up. I backed up my photos. I do what you tell. I have Synology.
Thank you. Oh, yay.
People don't.
No, most people don't. And they just, they trust, and they assume. And so it's really important to understand that these free services owe you nothing.
Not to screw up. I trusted them not to screw up two-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah, you did, but that was a mistake.
Yeah. So
you can't.
Luckily, I don't have a lot of trust going around the tech community.
No, it's really good to be I hate to say it, but it's good to be a cynic, an untrusting, cynic. I hate to. Isn't that awful? They put us in that position.
You bet. Most people just want to get by and enjoy the day, and
I agree.
Is becoming the way through this SMS is becoming a real nightmare.
I've been doing this show for 30 years, and my primary duty is kind of being Facebook's support and Google's support, because they don't support you. The industry doesn't support its users. They're there to make money. They don't really care about your problems.
Part of what. Just to make awareness for...
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. Yeah. It's an important drum to beat. Absolutely.
Appreciate your service and work on it.
Thank you, and I'm glad you did have a backup, Mac. It's
yes.
Good to remember.
Keep beating the drum.
Yep. Yeah, I use, if I use a cloud service, I back it up 3 ways to Sunday. And frankly, I don't have a Facebook account. For various reasons. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, internet, whatever, all that stuff. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. 8888 Ask Leo. I hope I don't sound unsympathetic when people call with problems with Facebook. I am sympathetic. I really am. But it's honestly, I'm also very happy not to have anything to do with Facebook. I have an Instagram account, and I hate Instagram these days. They're changing it from what used to be this great, photo sharing thing. I loved it because it was just people's pictures, people I knew. Now there's so much other stuff in there. They want to be TikTok, so there's a lot of video all of a sudden. And I don't know, do you notice this? But there's mostly stuff people I don't follow. It's the Facebook way. That's what they're doing. They're Facebookizing Instagram by using algorithms, computers, to decide what content you want to see. See, to me, that's why I left Facebook. To me, the deal I made with Facebook, it's an unspoken deal, but it's still a deal that is I will give you information about, who I know, who's in my family, how old I am, when my birthday is, all that stuff. And in return, you will allow me to share my life with family and friends, people I follow, and they will share their life with me. And we'll have this nice little social circle. And you'll give us this great place for it. And in the early days, that's what Facebook was. But they realized very early on they could make a lot more money, not by showing me Aunt Gertrude's jelly jars, but by sending me news stories that get me all head up, or, just stuff that I didn't ask for. The computer algorithm decides there's stuff that I know, it knows if I see, I will go, ooh, and want more. I like candy too. But if you start pushing candy at me, it's not going to be good for me to eat all candy all the time. And that's essentially what Facebook does. Now Instagram's doing the same thing. It's not showing you the pictures of the people you follow. Yeah, there's a thing you can, they hide it. If you click the word Instagram on it only works on the mobile app. If you click the word Instagram, there's a drop down. You can only see the following, but it switches back immediately right after you look at it. Because they don't want you to stay there. You can do the same thing on Facebook. Oh, I only want to see a chronological feed of people I follow. Don't send me that stuff that I didn't follow. But it switches back immediately. Because they know you don't want that. You want candy. Well, don't give me candy. It's bad for my teeth. I got off Facebook. And I'm only on Instagram because, well, I don't know why. I should get off Instagram too. Mostly because I use it for work. You know, I have to keep up a little bit. And sometimes our people I'm talking to have Instagram photos and stuff I want to show. I'm thinking I got to get rid of that too. Now, Twitter's doing the same. They're all doing it. And it's interesting because what it really is it's very much a big change in what these services are. And I think this has happened subtly. It's one of those things where you might not have noticed. But originally, the original deal was this is a social network, right? People I follow, friends and family, college roommates, that kind of thing, high school sweethearts, that kind of thing. It's my social circles that I'm following. They're a social network. That's what they were called, the social network. But then along come things like TikTok and YouTube where, oh, look, they get so much more engagement. People spend so much more time on the site looking at content created by people you don't know. But content that's exciting, that keeps you going. You keep swiping up on TikTok. Oh, give me more, give me more, give me more candy. Those are no longer social networks, are they? That's what's happened. The social networks are dead. Yeah, you and I might want them. Too bad you don't get it. What you're really getting is content, just like watching TV. Just like watching TV, except, oh, it's even better than that because Facebook and YouTube and TikTok don't have to spend any money on the content. They don't have to make the content. People give it to them. People like my son, spend hours. My son spent a whole day making onion soup, shooting the video, editing it up really tight, putting music behind it so that he could get views on TikTok. Gave it to him for free. What does TikTok do? They go, yeah, thank you. We've just created a TV channel for short attention span people. And our computer algorithms will figure out what's the next thing to show you because, well, you stayed a long time on that bikini video, so let's show you more bikinis. Or you stayed a long time on that cooking video, let's show you more cooking. And they're very good at it. They're very good at it. It's a candy dispenser, but it's bad for your teeth, isn't it? And this is what's happened. It's happened on all the so-called social networks. They're no longer social networks. They're no longer friends and family and what they're up to. They're TV channels. They're showing you content that you're going to enjoy. When did that happen? I don't know, but it's happened. It's done. But I think some of us, I still want to be able to know what's going on with family and friends. I want a social network. And what's happening, it's interesting, is people are starting to make their own. They're going to chat rooms like WhatsApp or Discord and creating a family chat group. And they're putting their pictures there and what Aunt Gertrude's jelly jars there instead. Because we can't count on Facebook to show us that. In fact, they almost can count on them not showing that, right? You'll never stick around for Aunt Gertrude's jelly jars, but we know you'll stick around for this, car chase. So if we want a social network, we're going to make our own. Ultimately, we're going to make our own. But it's pretty clear that TV works, right? Candy machine works. And that's what all these companies have pivoted to. And that's the latest with Instagram. It pivoted. It's no longer a social network. Instagram is now candy for your mind. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant again. But I've noticed this. I don't know if, and I think sometimes this happens in life, right? Things happen so slowly, you don't really notice the change until you do. I was talking earlier about ATM machines. How long has it been since you've been inside a bank? You don't need to go in anymore. But that was a big change. That was a big change, but it just happened so gradually we didn't even notice. Website is techguylabs.com. That's where you should go if you hear something and you want a link. We have lots of links. In fact, with our caller who was having trouble, what was it? Something. We found some solutions. Oh, the time thing, right? He just moved from Southern California. His computer didn't know. Somebody logged into the chat room and said, here's a solution. Let me see if I can find that, because it looked like it might work. And we will certainly put it into the show notes. But he had I've forgotten what it was. But he came up with a solution. Oh, shucks. It was a while ago. I saw it in passing. Our chat room is irc.twit.tv, by the way. That's useful if you want to go in and help people. That's a great place to go, or just hang out with other people watching the show. irc.twit.tv. Website is techguylabs.com. Phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO. There. I've said everything. I've said my piece. I'm the only tech guy with a horn section, I think. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. 8888-ASK-LEO is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Website, techguylabs.com. Columbus, Ohio. Paul is on the line. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, it's me again, Leo. How you doing?
Hi, Paul. What's up?
I'm using an iPhone 13 Pro, and my wife also. And they're not huge storage. I can't remember what we've got. But the question really comes down to, I want to back up my pictures. And I know we can do that to iCloud and the
yes.
storage with the iPhone.
Yes.
But I also, for secondary backup, can use either Google or Amazon. So I know there's a setting that you can back everything up from your iPhone and save space, so it just shows you the thumbnails. You talked about that recently.
Right.
Okay, but I have that set, and I still have the Amazon backup, for example. Is that Amazon backup going to see those pictures before they get sent up to...
That is, I never even really thought about that. What if you have iCloud photos turned on and you have it set to save space? So the way that works is it moves the original photo to iCloud, which Apple charges you for, right? Charges you a fee. And then it deletes the original and leaves just a screen-sized thumbnail on your phone, which for most people is fine. If you want to send the original or edit the original, it will download it, and that's a really good way of managing space on your phone. But you raise an interesting question. What does Google Photos see, or what does Amazon Photos see, or Dropbox? I'll have to verify this, but my guess is it does not see the original. It would have to round trip it. It would have to download it from iCloud, upload it to Amazon, and then let iCloud delete it. I'm going to guess it does take a little while for iCloud to upload the original. So I'm going to guess, and maybe somebody can do the experiment for us and tell me, that you probably want to make sure that you get Amazon or Google or Dropbox or OneDrive or whatever it is you're using as a secondary backup. And by the way, if you heard our call earlier about Facebook, never trust any one service for your vital stuff, even iCloud. Always have it stored in several places, so you're absolutely right to do that. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, they'll upload the originals, but they can only do that if the originals are available. So I think you're right. You want to make sure they're uploading immediately before Apple decides, oh, good, we can delete that and just use the thumbnail, because otherwise they'll only have access to the thumbnail. So this is an important point. If you're taking pictures and you want those originals to be stored somewhere, open that app, because the way Apple works, an app can't run in the background forever. So you'll need to open Google Photos or Amazon Photos or whatever quickly after you've taken those pictures to give it a chance to access the originals.
Or just leave it open while you're shooting.
Well, you could, but again, Apple will let its own programs like Photos run in the background, but it will not let third-party programs like Google Photos or Amazon Photos run in the background. So As soon as it's backgrounded, it's going to stop uploading, or shortly after. So you want to kind of, what you really want to do is you take the photos, and before Apple can upload those photos. I never thought about this, so I'm going to try. I have to experiment with it. But my guess is that this, because it would require the cooperation of Apple, and I bet you Apple's not going to cooperate. So my guess is you have to get Amazon Photos open quickly so it can get access to the originals. So after you've done your photo shoot, open Amazon Photos.
How about this? After you go out and shoot for the day, then you turn on your let it make sure it backs up to Google or.
And then turn on iCloud Photo. Yeah.
On the
Yeah, that's another way to do it. That's a good idea. I haven't been doing that. I should check and see if Amazon has my originals now, because I haven't been doing that. I use, so we just took a trip to Alaska, took pictures of glaciers and polar bears, or grizzly bears, whatever. I think you might have done something similar recently. And so what I did was, and I've been doing this lately, decided, okay, somebody's got to keep track of all the originals. So I'm going to let Apple do that. So when I get back, I put the SD card in my MacBook, and I upload it to Apple Photos. That way I have access to it on all my Apple devices. And in theory, I'm backing it up to Google and Amazon at the same time, because I run those on my phone. And once the phone sees the photos, it should do that. You raise a very interesting question, though. Now I think I'm probably only getting thumbnails when I thought I was getting the originals on Amazon. So yeah, maybe the best way to do that is turn off that optimization feature in Photos until you're sure everybody's got it.
Yeah, because we got enough room that we can certainly do quite a few photos and then and be safe for the day, and then do it like that.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good practice. You got me really curious now.
When you said something too that triggered another question, and now it slipped by.
Well, what's funny is I shoot in RAW, and if you're a serious photographer, you might shoot in RAW as well. And I want those RAWs. Those are the real originals. Apple will store those for me. Google will probably not, because they now charge for that. But Amazon will. So I want those originals stored in a couple of places. So
that's nice to know. Amazon stores the RAW. That's cool.
Yeah, if you're a Prime member, unlimited free storage of photos. Now videos, it's limited, but not which is great. That's huge. So yeah, I would take advantage of that. And if you have an Amazon Prime account, absolutely have Amazon Photos on your phone. And I think they probably have a desktop uploader too. In fact, maybe that's the right solution, is because the iCloud Photos does not. I don't think it optimizes for the desktop.
Okay, I know what it was. I was going to say, if you've got multiple iDevices, which we do, my wife's got an iPad. I've got I'm not using my older iMac for photos right now, but we both have the iPhones.
Right.
And if you delete something on a photo on one device, it's going to delete it from the library, right?
Yeah, in fact, it'll even warn you.
Yeah, and it will warn you. But if you want to disconnect that a phone or iPad, say you're getting a new one, or there's a problem with it, what do you do to make sure that what you
you don't want to, in other words, you're saying what you don't want to do, and you're absolutely right, is go into Photos before you get rid of that iPad and delete everything there, because it's going to delete it everywhere. That's exactly what you don't want to do. No, you just erase the iPad, reset the iPad, and that will not do that.
Okay, it won't actually.
No, that's a different signal to iCloud. In order to get iCloud deleted everywhere, you actually have to explicitly delete it in Photos. If you're just erasing the iPad, it's not the same signal. iCloud's smart enough, thank goodness, not to do that. That would be a disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
Good questions. And you made me think, and I'm going right now to my Amazon Photos to see, do I have the originals? Good question. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't know. I'm logging in right now. It's a really interesting thought.
Well, I didn't want to get screwed and lose something.
Yeah, rightly so. Okay, so I'm on Amazon Photos. So the real test would be to look at, does it have, I know I shot a lot of stuff in RAW. Does it have the RAWs? Or does it just have a JPEG? And the JPEG would be a thumbnail. So let me go through here. I'm going to try to find. I took a lot of stuff with, this is the other sad thing. I brought a very good camera, but I ended up taking my best pictures with the phone.
Well, my wife doesn't want to carry around the funny, big camera we've got.
Yeah, nowadays, absolutely. Yeah.
The new phone,
This iPhone 13 you have is incredible. Lisa took great pictures with that. I'm trying to get past all of this. I had a Samsung S22 and I had a iPhone 12, or the older iPhone, and most of my pictures were taken with the phones, with the cameras, camera phones, not the Sony A7R4 that I brought, the 41 megapixel.
That whole case of lenses and cameras.
Exactly. Wasted time, Leo. There's a DNG, but no, that's a DNG from the Samsung. No, that's not it. Yeah. It looks like it did not. Yeah, so I'm looking at one that I know I took with the Sony, and it's a 137 kilobyte JPEG. Darg nabbit on Amazon. So I think your intuition was correct. It does not, if it doesn't have access to the RAW, it's not going to upload the RAW. So that's a problem.
Well, I'm not. I know you are, and that's great. But I'm not messing with RAW at this point.
Well, the only reason I use that is because then I know that's the original. That's not.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, if a JPEG wouldn't necessarily be, could be the original, or could be a reduced JPEG. I guess you could look at the resolution.
Yeah. Right. Well, if I had better vision and was able to do what I would like, I'd be using the RAW too. Is there any other way? Let's say this iPad that we've got photos on, and is in the album, and it's looking at the same albums on any device. Right?
That's right. That's the beauty of it. Right. Once it's on iCloud, as long as you're all on the same account.
Well, I'm on iCloud. Okay, so I'm just thinking I guess if everything's in iCloud, you're okay. But if it's not, then
it's only going to see what's local. Yeah. So you have local storage and iCloud storage. Yeah. That's why iCloud Photos is a great deal. Now, you don't have to ever turn on that optimize switch. If you've got lots of space, maybe you don't want to turn that on.
Well, I'm just thinking if you've got an iPad that doesn't have a whole lot of space compared to a new iPhone or a computer, how do you eliminate stuff on that iPad without...
Well, there you can turn it on because the iPad isn't the source of the originals, right? The only place that really you want to be careful about is wherever you're going to put those originals, and I guess that's going to be on your phone in your case.
iCloud or on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can turn that on the...
Everywhere else, turn on Optimize.
Optimize except for the original source.
Wherever the originals are, that's right.
Okay, very good. Well, that makes...
Good question. And you know what? I wasn't even thinking of that. And I'm looking and I thought, well, Amazon Photos should have all of the raw originals, and it doesn't. So now I'm going to have to upload those from a desktop, I think. But I can do that. There's an Amazon app for the desktop, so I can just do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great.
Hey, good question. Thank you, Paul. You just saved me something. Take care.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.
This horn section is going to have to be getting overtime now. I think that's a budget buster. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Did you negotiate with them, Laura, for all of this extra hornage? Oh, good. They're here until 9 p.m. Oh, good. All right. Thank you. Get them some lunch. Andrew on the line from Johnson City, Tennessee. Hello, Andrew.
Leo Laporte. Oh, my God. I believe I'm talking to you.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be talking to you. How you doing?
Oh, just trying to dodge the rainy weather and plan a 13-year-old birthday party and living the life, man.
It sounds like it's a good life. Enjoy.
Okay. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Between you and Scott Wilkinson, I really don't have a question. Just want to toot your horn and you that I ended up about 2009, started my own business in home theater installation and got it all. Just the love of it between that and IT and home theater and home tech from you and Scott, and I can't thank you two enough.
I'll tell you, I won't speak for Scott, although I suspect this is true, but the most gratifying thing after what I've been doing this now for a few years is hearing from people who said, yeah, you turned me on to this subject and I got into it and it's my business now. I love hearing that. So that's wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate
I've always been techie, but I don't know. It's the way between, again, you and Scott, and then Scott's old cast that he had on your network and everything you guys do at your network, it just pushed me over that edge.
Well, I'll give Scott a plug because, yeah, he for a long time he did the Home Theater Geek podcast on our network. Right. He's now doing essentially the same thing on YouTube, youtube.com/AVS Forum, and it's great. Yeah, good. I'm glad you watch it. That's great. That's great.
I've got an Andrew Jones Pioneer 5.1 system.
Oh, nice.
Because of.
Well, I was telling Scott off the air this today. I was, getting fed up with the kind of bad sound, and my wife has a TV in the gym, and I got fed up. So I went out, and Andrew Jones now works for a company called ELAC, and they make amazing, excellent bookshelf speakers, and I just got a pair of those and a subwoofer for her so she can enjoy her music in her gym.
He recently left ELAC. I can't remember who he's...
Oh, really? All right. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I wonder where he is.
I forgot.
Yeah, he did it. So I'm sure that the ELAC debut bookshelf speakers that I got were based on his design. They're still,
Yes.
He's unveiled, it says, this is from last year, Andrew Jones is leaving ELAC, which is a very good U.S. Speaker company. And let's see, where's he going? Where is he going? That's the question.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember if it's said. I may have said it to Micah when you were your cruise.
Yeah, they have a new. So ELAC has a new Solano series, which was not designed by Andrew Jones. Maybe Andrew just retiring. I mean, we all get to enjoy our golden years at some point. What's next for Andrew Jones? This is an article from audioholics.com. We don't know yet. The most popular theory online is that Jones, with help from some deep-pocketed investors, is starting his own loudspeaker company.
Very interesting.
Well, I will ask Scott, and he can maybe do some detective work. And
I tried to call you earlier today when he was on, and after 204 dials of the phone...
It's hard to get in, I know. That's why we recently instituted a kind of a limit on how many times you can call in. I don't know if you've noticed that, but we had some regulars that were on all the time, and I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to get in. So I know it's hard, Andrew, but I'm glad you did get in.
Well, that's and I've been listening to Pat. Well, I listen every week to you. I have since 2009. But,
wow, thank you.
You said that you're looking for first-time callers.
Yes.
And, I mean, I used to stay up and watch your 24 hours to the New Year.
Oh, that was so much fun. I'm sad that we don't still do that. My wife put the kibosh on that. She said, you are not staying up all day and all night to do a show.
I can't imagine. It was tough.
It was so much fun. Oh, man. We did the 24 hours of New Year's. We did it 2 years in a row, raised money for UNICEF, raised $80,000 or $90,000 for UNICEF in the second year. We're very, very proud of that. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Andrew, I will. You don't have to say it to Scott. I will make sure that he hears this segment of the show and hears your thank you. And I appreciate it.
My pleasure's all mine. Again, I just soak your knowledge and I've got an eco tank because of you. I could go on.
Tell Epson they stopped advertising. Tell them they should be back. I don't know what. That happens all the time. Advertisers come and go, as you know. Budgets change. Oh, yes. But I am glad that you are a happy customer. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it. Have that great birthday party for that 13-year-old.
Well, she's getting excited, so we're...
when is it?
Her birthday was actually 2 days ago, but the party's today. So.
Oh boy! Well, you get it. What do you do? Get off the. Go. You got other things to do, Andrew. Happy birthday! What's her name?
All day, Leo. And her name is Morgan.
Happy birthday, Morgan! That's a big one. 13. Wow. Happy birthday. We're not supposed to do this. The FCC says no birthday greetings, but I'm going to do it anyway. Thank you, Andrew.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you.
Jody on the line, Los Angeles. Hello, Jody.
Leo, how are you? It's good to hear your voice as always.
Thank you, sir.
I hope you can hear me okay on this earbud that I'm walking through.
I hear you great.
Trying to make the most of my time.
Yeah, which earbuds are you using? It sounds very good.
These are the Galaxy. They're probably 2 years old.
I love the Samsung Galaxy earbuds. They're affordable and they really work.
Yes, they do, and I don't have the need to spend a whole lot more money on AirPod Pros or whatever.
I agree. I'm a fan too.
Yeah, no complaints. By the way, unrelated topic, but my buddy Charlie Hadlock, who is probably listening right now, Charlie was a producer and a correspondent at NBC Network News, based out of their Dallas bureau. And if you ever want to see a home done right in terms of technology, he would be the guy. In fact, I've asked him to please stop sending me updates of the new things you're doing at home because I can't afford it.
My favorite geeks are the ones, and I get pictures too from listeners.
Yeah.
Have you seen my home theater? Look what I did with my wiring closet. Look how neat and tidy it is. It's yeah, I know those people, and I love them. I'm not them, but I love them.
It's hilarious. So he's when you're not around, he's the guy I call. But you and I have spoken a few times, and almost every time I does, he texts me and says, "Hey, I heard you on Leo's show."
Nice. That's great.
Hello, Charlie, for listening.
Hi, Charlie.
So I'm having. He's a great guy.
You big old geek, you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm having big fun right now. I've got a 2018 MacBook Pro that I am finally updating from Mojave to Catalina, so that I can use the new version of Resolve 18.
Yes.
And that's the minimum that's required for that.
Yes.
And I've been Googling and spending way too much time on my wife's computer trying to figure out why it is stuck on estimating time remaining.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Estimating that. It's been doing that for about 15 hours now.
Oh, yeah, it's done. Stop. Time to give up.
I've stopped it. I've restarted. I've done done it with the the safe boot or whatever the heck it's called. And I can't get it to do anything aside from just that same thing over and over and over. I can't even get it to open up and let me just work on it like it was.
So there are two things that could be going wrong. The most likely one is that the download is bad. And just so start over, get a clean download of Catalina. Used to be the solution was actually you go to Apple and download Catalina and put it on a USB key. I don't think they do that anymore. I think you have to do it the way you're doing it. But if the download gets damaged or corrupted, it's going to get exactly this symptom. The other possibility is that...
How do I do that if the computer won't do anything but just sit on this black page with an Apple logo and me still waiting?
The best way to do this, and I hope you got everything off of there that you need, is to do the internet recovery. That's a later model machine, which means you can do... download a fresh copy of Catalina from the internet, and actually in this case it won't download Catalina because you haven't gotten there yet. It'll download the old, whatever the last one was, probably Mojave for you, and then do the Catalina. That'll be a fresh start. You'll wipe the drive. You'll be, in effect, nuking it from space. And I think it's Command Option R, but you can Google it real quickly. What is you want internet recovery for that Macintosh, and that'll start from scratch. The GizWiz, Dick DeBartolo, coming up. We'll also put how to create. There is the article from Apple on how to create a bootable installer, so that's another way to do it. But I think the internet recovery is the right way to do it for you.
Is there a less nuclear option?
Well, you can probably back out of it and get the stuff off. The reason you want to do that is twofold. One, I did mention it could be a bad download, and this will be a complete fresh download. The other could be there's a problem on the hard drive. There's a bad sector or something right where it needs to go. And if that's the case, this might help to do it. Is there stuff on that computer you don't want to?
Yeah, there probably is. I think I'm pretty good at regularly doing continual backups, but it's entirely possible that there is something on there that isn't fully backed up. Now I've got all my main stuff is on other drives.
Yeah.
That computer does have quite a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah.
It's my work one, of course.
So Option Shift Command R is the internet recovery, but you can also do Option Command R. That might. Well, that's what you were doing probably. Yeah, I think if you back out of it, can your computer boot? Because I mean, Or is it? Did it?
No, it does the same thing every time.
Oh, you really hosed it now. Yeah.
20
I think you're out of luck. I think you have to do. I don't think you can get into it otherwise.
Should I take it over to the Genius Bar, do you think? Or
yeah,
the same thing?
Sure. If you don't mind doing that, they probably have ways. What they will have for sure, and it might be the solution, is a bootable macOS. But we'll put a link in the show notes to how to make a bootable macOS. You could do that if you had another Mac. If you could boot,
which I would do. We've got another Mac at home.
Okay, so you can boot to an external drive, and then get the data off the internal drive.
Okay. And then
do the nuke from space.
Yeah, which I was sure hoping to not have to.
I understand. No one ever wants to do that. But this is
one more feature that I needed in Resolve 18. You know, the gyro thing that
I know. I know.
For one shot.
Are these personal videos, or are you working in the biz?
No, it's work related stuff.
Nice.
We've spoken before. I worked on Our Flag Means Death doing the first.
Oh, I remember you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you do the backgrounds.
Yeah.
I just watched this Industrial Light Magic documentary. I was just talking about this Light and Magic on Disney Plus, and they talk about the Mandalorian. What do they call it? The space, the zone, the room, that screen that you guys use. Unbelievable, revolutionary, and to see it in operation, unbelievable.
I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah.
Every person I bring down, and we had the CEO from Sigma Lenses was in town, and we took him down and gave him a couple of demos.
So cool.
It was just so funny seeing his face just light up.
So,
he was walking up to the screen like inches away.
Our Flag is Death, Jody's told us before, is shot the same way The Mandalorian is, on a background that's a giant, beautiful, high-res screen. Very cool technology.
Much higher res, not much higher res than Mando is using, actually.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they opted for something with a little less pitch, and they're having to work farther away from it because you began to see pixels and moire and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
so are they 8K? Are these 8K screens now?
No, these are like 20K.
Oh, my God.
Crazy.
All right, I'm going to call you when I come down to L.A. I want to see this, Jody.
No, seriously, I'm dead serious about that. I don't know if you have a way to get my number, but I can give it to you.
I'll put you on hold, and Kim will get it. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you, Jody.
Thanks, bud.
Take care. Now I'm going to go down and see this. I really want to see this. What do they call it? The Void? No, they have a name for it. The Space? I can't remember. Very cool. Hey, Dickie D.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you, my friend?
Good.
Here we go. The volume, that's it. Yeah, you come with me, Micah. We'll do a field trip. He's come a long way, all the way from Disneyland, baby. Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and our gizmo wizard. We call him the Giz Wiz. Hello, Dickie D.
Lee, how are you doing, pal?
Oh,
Leo.
You can call me Lee. It's not really easy to shorten Leo, is it?
No, I took shorthand in school, and it's coming back to me a little bit.
Dick is as short as a nickname can be, but do people ever call you D?
No.
Or
yes.
Hello, Dick.
I'm Dickie D.
Dickie D.
Dickie D.
Well, that's making it longer, not shorter, but okay.
Yeah, that's true. Dick D. It started out as Dick D.
Because it's DeBartolo.
Somehow it got corrupted into
Dickie D. I like Dickie D.
Yeah.
Mr. Dickie D joins us every week to share some gizmo or gadget or something. What do you got for me?
Leo, this is pretty neat. It's not a jokey gadget, but, my Verizon landline, I've now had it, I think, 45 years, okay?
That's before it was Verizon.
Yes. I think it was Edison.
No. What was Verizon before it was Verizon? It was something.
AT&T?
No. I'll look it up. Anyway, you've had it for 40 years.
Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
Right, okay. And Dennis has had his now for 30 years. And my line went out, so the guy came.
9X.
And it's,
New York
9X,
Bell.
yes, exactly, 9X, okay. Yep. And the guy, he was very knowledgeable, and he said, you know where your phone line starts? And I said, yeah, on West End Avenue. He goes, yeah. I have to go over there. It was great. He ran back and forth, and he said, listen, 20 wires come into this building. I used a negative of one and a positive of another, and it's the last two wires in your building that work.
What? When was this?
And this was about 10 days ago. And he said, now if your phone goes out, it's forever. Okay. Because the lines go through the backyard.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine in a city like New York what the phone system, and they're just these little copper wires.
Yes, exactly. And Dennis has no voice. He just has DSL because evidently DSL works on one wire.
Nowadays, everything's data. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have those copper wires.
No. He said, go to Verizon and tell them you want wireless direct. So
Ooh.
I went to Verizon.
Fancy.
And the guy said, he said, it's a little white box. And he said, the box is $100.
What?
And it's a $35 activation fee.
And it plugs into what?
It will, first of all, your phone line has to still be live when you get the box.
Okay.
You take the phone out of the wall jack and you plug it into this.
That's to kind of let it know who you are, probably, right?
That's exactly right. Okay, so it has a built-in SIM card, has a built-in battery. It runs on AC, but if power goes out, the battery will kick in, and then you can still use your phone.
And then eventually you can unplug the cable?
Yes.
The cord?
Yes. Well, stupidly, the instruction book is just 4 steps, which I did. And it says, now you can make calls.
Yeah.
And I could make calls.
Nice.
And Dennis could make calls.
Sweet.
Except we couldn't call, no one could call us.
Oh, well, that's not so good.
So I went online and found a video and found out that after you do those 4 steps, you have to call the Verizon transfer line to find out. So I call them up, and it's 1 a.m. I get a real person, and I explain.
Yeah, what do you want?
And don't call me this way.
Do you know
again,
what time it is?
She said, let me look up your phone. And I said, my spouse has a line too. She said, I'll look them both up. She said, oh, your phone will switch over on Friday.
So you keep your phone number, but you're no longer connected to anything. It's just floating through the air?
Yes, exactly. So now this is all dependent on what the signal is for Verizon in your neighborhood.
This
now,
is your cell. Now you're using the cell towers instead.
Exactly, exactly. And the repair guy said something very funny, and it's true. He said, now plug your phone into this. You go out in the backyard and you're afraid you're not going to hear your phone?
Take it with
Just carry your phone in this box. You want to go to the park?
Nice. Do you have to put it in the window or anything for the connection or no?
You know, for me here, it's fine on my desk. It said you should have at least 2 bars, and on my desk I have 2 bars, and it fluctuates between 2 and 3 bars.
This is we were talking at the beginning of the show about the disruption and how technology is changing. This is part of that disruption. My daughter has Verizon wireless internet access. Same idea. It's a box. She pays $25 a month, gets very high-speed internet through the cell towers because they're close by. She could get her phone that way, too. But you know what? People under 30 don't have phone numbers. They just use their cell phones, right?
No.
So,
and you
still
plug your
have a
answering
landline
machine in the back?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Stop. You do not plug your answering machine into this, do you?
If you want.
You don't have it.
First,
this is, by the way, Dick was the first person in his circle of friends, maybe in the U.S., to have an answering machine. What year was that? Many, many moons ago.
Well, you know, I bought it for Bill Gaines. It was 2 reels of tape. One reel was the message, and the other reel took the messages.
I remember that.
That's how far back, and it was like $400.
Yeah. So now nobody has an answering machine anymore, do they? They have voicemail.
Well, you know what? I hooked one up for Dennis, and Dennis is a non-tech. He's zero tech. And he came down and said, you know that thing you put in my apartment? I said, yeah. He said, it rang this morning. I said, yeah. And
like
he said, and now it's blinking red.
Oh.
So I went up. He had phoned in to his doctor that he needed something re-prescribed. And I said, Dennis,
that's
the
a
message
message.
is
It's a message.
CVS that...
It's a message.
Yeah.
So the thing is now, can you get a fax on it?
You can. It says you can hook your fax machine to it. No data can be put through it.
No, interesting.
It will revert to Verizon mail. Okay, it does everything your cell phone does. The way you set up this device is the way you set up a cell phone answering machine, and it's $20 a month if you're already using Verizon. And we were each paying $100 for our landline. So this is going to be
a good deal.
It's going to be a great deal.
This is really the future. The phone companies do not want to maintain. Imagine in New York City, all those copper lines. What a pain that is for them to crawl over fences and under bushes and around to keep those things going. They don't want that. They want to get rid of them all. In fact, even in suburbs, very often when you get things like fiber internet, they'll take the opportunity to cut the copper. They're not supposed to, but they'll cut the copper. They don't want to do the copper anymore. It's expensive. So they're replacing everything with wireless.
Yeah. So if you're an older person with a landline, this is a way to save money and make it more portable.
Nice. The idea that you just how heavy is the box though? It's not.
It's light. I would say it's maybe
it out in the yard.
8 ounces. Yeah, I should take this down to the park with my landline and go. Well, I can't afford. This is the first cell phone.
You can take it It is. It's a cell. Basically, it is. It's a cell phone. It's a cell phone. GizWiz.biz. You can read about it. Just click the button. The GizWiz visits the tech guy. He's got a video. He's got all the information. He also has all the previous stuff he's talked about on the show, plus the products he mentions on ABC's World News Now. Lots of other stuff, and the What the Heck Is It contest. A chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, the Poltergeist cover, which I just got. Thank you. Dick had to go out and get a silver Sharpie to autograph it. He's here. Thank you, Dickie D. Have a wonderful
buddy.
week.
See you next week.
We'll talk to you later, and thank you all for joining us on the Tech Guy Show. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. Thanks to the horn section, guys. Take care. Thanks to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, for answering the phones. Of course, most of all, I got to thank you because, well, it'd be silly for me to sit here talking to myself in this empty room. Thank goodness you're listening and calling and participating. I'll be back next time. I hope you will, too. I am Leo Laporte, your tech guy. Have a great geek week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.